It's Alani. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Aka
Raboni.
Àlàáfíà Lema. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, direct so that Kali share.
Any you said I can't pick you. What did you say?
So that one will join immediately. Can we have the direct link so that we can share immediately?
Okay, yes. Okay, all right. I'll do that now. I'll send it to you. Okay. Okay, that's it. Any other person that request? Mr. Lani, I've sent it. Mr. Lani. Wait. Good morning, everyone. You're welcome here. Thank you for making time to be here. Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Fadayomi. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. Bless God for the opportunity of life. You can do all your comments and questions directly to the comment chat. We'll be able to read that, and we will start off while our facilitators come in one after the other. Thank you for making time to be here early. You're welcome once again. We just like to have a few more people in, and then we can start. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mrs. Kayode. Good morning, Mr. Ezekiel Ajala, Mrs. Joyce, Joseph. Good morning. The non-profit coach. Good morning. I don't have your direct name here. Good morning. Mrs. Fakorede, good morning. Mrs. Okene, good morning. It's good to have you all here. Just wait for a little more, maybe like 5-10 more people, and then we can start. Okay. Hello. Hello, my brother. Hello, ma.
advice mi. Jẹ́ wọn kọ́ máa bọ́ sàsọ̀rọ̀ lọ. Kí n gbèrè tàǹtí bọ́ sàsọ̀rọ̀ tó wà. Need jẹ́ kí n wẹ̀ jẹ́ kí n múra. It's possible kí n sọ fún provost pé kí ló lè ṣe fún mi. Pé tí n bá jẹ́ àbúrò ẹ̀ àbọ̀ ọ̀rẹ́ ẹ̀ advice ò ló fẹ́ fún mi. Nǹkan tí mo máa bá sọ ni.
Once again, welcome everyone. We can start now. We have a number that we can start with. Others will start joining us. You're welcome once again. Like I said, this is a new normal and a lot of things to explore here and there. And we are still in a learning stage and we keep improving. Our schools, our activities and programs need a lot of tech awareness, and we keep moving from one level to the other. So once again, I welcome you. I welcome all participants. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we are starting off. I'll just start off with the opening, and then we'll take it off from there.
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning once again. We have a number of our people in the house here. Others will keep joining us. I think here we need to put up the direct link here. A lot of people, because after registering, you are meant to have the link. And from that link, you should be able to link up straight. That was why we went through that. But in case you are having difficulties joining, we will put the direct link, on the comment chat so that we can help people pass it on. Thank you.
No. Yes, you can.
I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? Can anyone see my screen? Can anyone see my screen?
No, I can't now. I can't see the screen.
Okay. Can anybody see my screen? Can anyone see it now? Can you see it now? Can you see my screen now? Yes. Okay, great. Once again, you're welcome. And this is another of the Florish-Gate Global Consult School Matters webinar. And today we are looking at education for relevance in the new normal. How do we give quality education to the children even at a time like this? So this is a concern. The fact that we are on lockdown does not mean that the children shouldn't be educated, and does not mean that the children shouldn't be given quality education. And so it's a concern because every other place in the world, at least those that have gone online, learning is taking place, and some that have resumed, although they have resumed, and some are locking down even after resumption again. So but we just need to ensure that we balance up and ensure that our children are healthy. Our children need to be healthy for us to be able to do anything, and our life also. So that is what informed this webinar, and I trust that we'll have a great time together. I appreciate all our guest speakers in the house, and also particularly thank all the participants who have joined us and those who are yet to join. Thank you. The COVID-19 crisis is changing the educational landscape in unpredictable ways. It's tough to know exactly what the upcoming school year will look like, but by keeping up on current trends in the educational sphere, you can return to school next year, well, probably very soon or so, when the lockdown is informed. We are meant to get back anytime there is the lockdown is eased. We are meant to have been properly informed, have enough information, and be ready to begin to explore. We are meant, God, to be informed whether you are in the classroom or you are teaching at a distance. We are meant to give quality to our children. UNICEF is also urging schools, urging nations, that even while we are locked down or you are doing distant learning, we should ensure that we engage the children in our remote learning and provide them with holistic support. Schools should provide children with vital information on hand washing and other measures to protect themselves and their families. We know that if we can get to the children, we would have succeeded, and also succeeded in reaching a large number of families. We should facilitate mental support and help to prevent stigma and discrimination by encouraging students to be kind to each other and avoid labels when talking about this virus. These are the things we should be doing. In addition to whatever we do, we should ensure that we keep educating our children, and they're educating their families through the children in the exact thing that is happening, and what their mindset should be, what they should be doing, what they should get engaged in, and what they should be practicing. Hand washing, physical distancing, and use of mask should be a lot of things that our children are getting used to. A development expert known as Dr. Chwike Uba, in his study, in the state of education in Southeast, established that public schools are almost a thing of the past, with dilapidated structures, demotivated, untrained, and unqualified workforce. Adding, whereas most parents feel comfortable sending their children to private school, it is evident that due to poor monitoring and evaluation by the policymakers, by the government, private schools may be worse than almost dead public schools, because we find that some of our public schools, some of our private schools are also not getting things right. He canvassed for new policies to address the challenges facing the sector, to transform the region, to redesign its education strategy. This, I think, is applicable to every part of the nation, not just the Southeast alone. Every part of the nation, every part of our country need to receive and re-strategize. Commenting on the issue of the guidelines for school reopening, the national president of ASU, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, said the government should stop dancing around issues. When we met with them 2 weeks ago, 6 conditions they listed were different from this. Between then and now, what has changed? The professor pastor was, saying they met earlier, and 2 weeks and now, things are just changing. He said, who should be responsible for the provision of these facilities they are talking about? Is it not the government? The government is not taking responsibility. What they ought to say is that we are making these things available before schools will resume, or before schools will reopen, not just telling private school owners that have been off work for almost 4 months. Where did they expect money to come from to get this done? It is important to address the fundamental and stop dancing around issues. The government should show the way by making all this available in public schools. It is not just a matter of prescribing something, but they should take the medication they are prescribing for others. This is why the government should adequately fund the education sector. The government can just sit in their high and lofty seats and they'll be telling the private school, get this isolation center, get this mask, get a disinfectant, and the public school, there is nothing to show that they are doing anything. The Nigerian child deserves the best of education, and it's not a second fiddle to anyone, anywhere in the world. Education for the Nigerian child is a right, not a privilege. It must be prioritized and given the highest attention. Children all over the world are provided with quality education enough to make them solve problems in their communities and countries. The Nigerian child can do it. It is time that the government, when many Nigerians, corporate organizations, NGOs, investors, educators, and parents wake up to their responsibilities and act right. And the neighboring environment is critical. Funding is the foundation. Qualified and trained personnel are the engine that makes it work. Provision of resources like light, that's power, devices, classroom, data, food, shelter, etc. is the way to go. The required skill to be relevant in this dispensation should be available to the Nigerian child. SDGs should not just be what the Nigerian child can memorize and recite, but what they work to achieve. And this can be possible if the government and all the stakeholders take responsibility and are accountable. What is trending in education space? New normal. Online learning will no longer be just a part of the education experience, but will actually serve as the main means for institutions to ensure academic progress. To do this sustainably and with the least disruption to learning, the infrastructure to support students online is a key consideration. Recorded or live lessons are an important part of this process. What is online learning? Online learning is education that takes place over the internet. It is often referred to as e-learning. Among other times, however, online learning is just one type of distance learning. The umbrella term for any learning that takes place across distance and not in a traditional class is the online learning. It also has the power of internet connection. Our children should know all of these bases that makes this education available at this time. It is also trending the virtual world, like we are. Yeah, where you are in your home, I am in my home, and we are talking. We are looking at ourselves. We could even do virtual handshake. This is the normal that we are in. Learning platform. For online learning to be effective, there must be a platform that is interactive and engaging for both educators and students. It must be able to monitor students' activities and behavior systematically, especially when there are little or no opportunities for face-to-face interaction. Most importantly, it must offer security to ensure that what students do or post online is not exposed for external viewing. This includes both the front-end user-facing system as well as reliable, scalable, and robust back-end infrastructures. The three powers, the powers of ICT. ICT has the power to shape the future, which is already happening. ICT has the power to provide equal opportunity to all people. If devices are available, even those children in Mubi Hill the children in a Waterside, the children in Yekiti, the children in inside interior will have education. ICT has the power to support safe and secured living. It is the way to go. Creativity in online teaching is very, very essential at a time like this. We can't be having our online classes the way we used to have in the brick and mortar. We won't be able to get the children to follow us. We may feel they are. We just need to be careful. We cannot just do the teacher copy paste student approach. It must be interactive. It must be engaging. The children must have activity. They must be engaged in activity and not just looking at the teacher alone or just reading. If we're using either WhatsApp or any of those ones. Future of work, AI. This is where we are going. You know what? Yes, a lot of organizations like even Google and the rest of them, Microsoft, they are engaging AI to do a lot of their work. But you know the interesting thing, AI will do the job, but human being will design the world. The AI will do that job, but we need human beings. We need our children to be very versatile in tech, to be able to design and put together the AI that will do the job. So AI won't be able to. For now, we don't have them to put themselves or to design themselves. So human being will see how to design. So this human being will need to be properly prepared to be able to do this job. Trends in the education space. Digital citizenship. For students, digital citizenship is defined as the ability to use technology and the internet both effectively and appropriately. Good digital citizenship is increasingly necessary, but as assignments and lessons traditionally done in person move online, students need the skills to develop a healthy relationship with their digital media. They need to be able to interact, know the basics, know what to do, how to connect, how to stay safe. Blended learning. Blended learning is a school or a classroom structured in which students learn partially from the right teacher's instruction and partially in more self-directed activities. The mixture might be perfect if students are learning from both school and home next year, although it's still difficult to predict how and when students will return to school. Many voices in education, including folks, believe that blended learning will be on the rise this school year. Personalized learning. Over the past few years, personalized learning has been on the rise. Why keep an eye on personalized learning? When school curriculum is adaptive to students' unique needs, it's more likely to promote students' progress because each child can move at their own right pace. Plus, adaptive software programs allow teachers to use the same program for all students in their classroom, including those with learning disabilities. STEM curriculum. You may be familiar with STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum, and how it prepares students to enter the workforce with practical high-demand skill. But adding the arts along this subject, thus creating STEAM, STEM plus art, can improve students' academic performance and help low-achieving students understand STEM subject better. And it improves creativity, a useful skill for any academic subject. STEM curriculum is shown to provide students with a well-rounded practical education than STEM alone. Social economic emotional learning. Social emotional learning continues to be an important aspect of education. When teachers take time to nurture both a student's educational and social emotional development, academic progress improves and classroom behavior issues diminishes. And with COVID-19 crisis changing many students' lives in a stressful way, social emotional learning will continue to be a necessity for their well-being. Gamification. Looking for ways to make learning fun for your students, gamification is a learning strategy that involves using games and rewards to teach students. is a strategy with plenty of both advocates and critics. Experiential learning. Experiential learning is a strategy that allows students to develop knowledge and skill in a setting outside of the classroom. For elementary students, options for experiential learning may be limited, but you can still make the most of this strategy by taking students on field trips, virtual or otherwise. Children can be taken on virtual field trips and providing students with assignments that engage them to learn outside school. Project-based learning. This approach adopts cross-curricular project works to engage learners in learning activities to help them practicalize concepts. Whatever is being taught in maths, literacy, English, maths, science, you can get a project work that the children will be able to apply all the concepts of this subject and come out with a project that can be a solution to an environmental problem. Internet safety. This is also trending because our children are learning online, they are going online. It's impossible. I mean, it is very important for them to know the basis, what they should do online. They should be protected. They should take responsibility for their safety. They should know what opportunities they can go for and what they cannot go for. Their competence level should also be high. Once again, I welcome you to this great session today, and I'm sure that we are all going to have a great time. At this time, I welcome our first speaker this morning in person of Mr. Eyitayo, Mr. Rotimi Eyitayo. Mr. Rotimi Eyitayo is the CEO of Team Masters Limited. Mr. Rotimi Eyitayo is a vision influencer. Is also very versatile in projects, in research work. Is a management consultant. Is a business and content, development strategist. All you need to do is share your vision with Mr. Eyitayo, and Mr. Eyitayo will make it big, help you to blow it, and you'll be glad that you shared it with someone. Mr. Eyitayo, you're welcome. Are you in?
Thank you very much. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Mr. Eyitayo?
I am
Good.
here.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Thank you very much. Great work you're doing. I was blown away by your introduction, and actually I feel that it has made my work a lot easier. Good morning to everyone across the world, and for those of us listening, whatever platform you're listening from, I would like to thank you for joining. So I believe that my session here is just to bring to everyone's notice and awareness an important topic that I believe would take us into steps that we need to take as individual educators, practitioners, stakeholders, institutions of learning, to be able to get out of this scenario that we are in, especially due to the pandemic. So once again, my name is Rotimi Eyitayo, and I'm excited to be here. I believe you could hear me loud and clear, so I'll just go straight to my topic. So I've been given a topic to talk about, and it's basically talking about innovation and diversification in school business, or in the school business. And I would like to frame our thought pattern as I share my own perspective, and I hope you're able to learn from it. The first thing I would like us to understand is that the core business of business is business. I repeat, the core business of business is business. So while that might sound a bit tricky and funny, but the truth about it is this: the major thing, the major business, the major focus, the major assignment of any business is business. Anything outside that is loss of focus, loss of attraction, loss of direction, loss of intensity, loss of result, and a lot of things get to happen. Now, an average mindset, an average individual out there might be wondering, hey, Mr. Eyitayo, what do you mean? We're talking about schools here. Why are you talking about business? Well, I might be happy to shock you that regardless of the category or regardless of the classification, every school is a business. I repeat categorically, every school is a business. every school is a business, whether it's a private school or is a public school, it's a business. And the reason I'm saying this is because when you look at the prototype definition of business, shows and validates the fact that business schools are businesses. Now, the motive behind the business might now be a different ball game. So some schools are set up for profit making, and that means it's a business to make profits. Some schools are set up for other kind of profits, other kind of motives, as it were. But the truth about it is that if there is no benefit, if there is no value from taking up that enterprise, then it's not a business in itself. So even when government provides education, the profit to government is an empowered society, an empowered workforce, is an increased productivity from the nation's economy and the likes. So everyone needs to understand this. Please follow me closely because I have a very short time. I would like us to understand that as we speak, pandemic or not pandemic, there is need for innovation. But then innovation and diversification is now coming into context because the regular routine of school and the school business has been halted and has been tampered with. The regular calendar where we operate has been actually adjusted. A lot of things are happening right now, and I believe that many people are looking for questions. I've heard, I've read, people have called me, I've had messages, I've had calls of schools that are shutting down, of people losing their jobs, of a lot of things. In fact, people have made jokes about schools themselves, that probably it's time for schools to look for another thing to do, shut down your business or shut down your building, turn it into something else. In fact, public schools, some buildings are being used by miscreants and all those things. But let's just take our mind on this journey, if you don't mind, as I take you through what I believe should be innovation and diversification in the school business. Please remember that the core business of business is being in business. So I'm going to share with you some factors, and there are 4 factors that you must understand. I believe that there are facts that every school owner, every school representative must be aware of. Number 1, you need to recognize that business is exchange. Business is considered as an exchange. Number 2, business is considered as engagement. So 1, it's an exchange. Number 2 is an engagement. Number 3, business is considered an experience. Many of us or visited an organization, and the experience was a sum total of what we call business. Number 4, business is also expectation. Now, as you listen to me and as you are following what we're trying to say, there's certain things that I want you to pick out of this. I'm giving actually strategies in the process. Do you understand? I'm giving you strategies that you can actually use in order to begin your journey to innovation and diversification as a whole. So number 1, if we say that schools are businesses and we've seen 4 major factors of businesses, then we can superimpose what we have just learned. That number 1, every school is meant to have exchange. So you are not a school without exchange. So we need to begin to ask ourselves, what are the ways? Okay, we have a particular restriction on one type of exchange. Okay, what other type of exchange exists that does not have restriction? So for example, what Florish-Gate is doing today is some sort of school in an hypothetical way. So I could easily be saying, and I could easily
from the book.
Hello?
From the book, yes.
All right. So I could easily say, for example, hello?
Yes, 40 questions. That's the reading test itself.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So I could easily say that, for example, as I'm welcoming the audience, I could say, welcome to Florish-Gate School. Now, before now, you wouldn't consider this as a school. But when you now look at it in the other side of it, you now find out that if you are in the business of exchange, you're also in the business of school. Meaning that if you're in the business of school, you must continually look for exchange. Now, unfortunately, what schools are doing now is they are actually in a business of silence. They are not exchanging ideas. they are not exchanging knowledge, they are not exchanging expertise, they are not exchanging advice, they're not exchanging know-how and all those things. So when you are looking at it from that perspective, you need to recognize that, number one, for you to begin your journey to innovation, you must understand the terrain of exchange. There are things that you have that someone else might have, or that someone else might need. And the moment that person comes in contact with you as a school, with you as an individual, with you as an educator, an exchange takes place. That's business. Now, the next one I said was engagement. Now, when we have exchange, we sometimes might also need to understand that exchange does not totally mean engagement, right? Sometimes you have front-end engagement that leads to exchange. Sometimes you have back-end engagement that comes from exchange. So you need to recognize that if we are understanding the journey to innovation and diversification, schools that are not open right now for the physical activity must get to a place where their school begins the activity of engagement. Schools that engage actually still open their door of business, and that comes out of the place of innovation. You must ask yourself, how as a school, to what medium, to what level can I engage? And when you understand that, that becomes technology to you. Engagement does not presuppose the use of gadgets, but engagement is more or less something that depicts the ability for you to continue expression with the so-called client or the community that you want to serve. So engagement is very important. The third one is experience. Therefore, what we're saying is this: in your journey to innovating the school or trying to diversify your business, schools should look at the domain of experience. A lot of people are creating experiences, and the experiences that that cut across the touch points of the average individual, experiences that feed the eyes, experiences that feed the ears, experiences that feed the feelings, the things people who touch, feel, taste, and experience. Those things actually are routes to channel, when it comes to the place of diversification and innovation. And then, of course, expectation. You need to understand that there are expectations of parents. Children have expectation. Students have expectation. The government has expectation. Regulatory bodies have expectation. Vendors and experts have expectation. As a school, expectation actually presents an opportunity for you to begin to meet these expectations. When expectations are met, it means there's been an exchange of value. When there's exchange of value, it means, of course, money will begin to flow in the direction of exchange. And so you need to understand that the expectation people have becomes one of the things you need to audit. What are the expectations of the children right now? A lot of children have expectations, but most times we don't know. We don't seek to know. The pandemic has created a lot of heightened expectation in many people. When we heard about the resumption, and then later on we heard about the cancellation, a lot of people had expectations. Some people began to move into action. Some people began to have meetings. Some people began to plan. Some people put into place strategy. But you need to understand the four things that I call the core business facts are the things that open the gateway to anyone, any group, any school that seeks innovation and diversification. So now that we understand that, then I can take you further into what I will call maybe my point. I'll share with you just 3 points that will make it easy, and then probably will bring it to a close. So the first thing you need to understand is that there is a mandate for every school in Lagos, in Nigeria, in Africa, but let's dwell on Nigeria for a bit. There's a mandate for the people within the school business. And when I say within the school business, I'm talking about the school itself, and I'm talking about the people that actually make up the school. That's the individual that we call the teachers, the educators, and the likes. There's a mandate for us to innovate. That's the first point I would like to share. And what I'm saying is this: mandate is almost like saying it's compulsory. There's a command. For those of you who are familiar with the word commandment, there's a commandment for us to innovate. Strange periods, pandemic, crisis period are period where compulsorily you must innovate. It's not optional. It's not something that is a nice to have. It is a must have for anyone that really means business and that wants to stay on top of the food chain, that wants to stay afloat and probably stay sustainable. You must recognize that it is a must. That just like the way we're using face mask now, It is a must. You must innovate, right? Whether you are a big school or a small school, innovation is not by chance any longer. It is by choice. You must do it. And that makes us understand that if everyone must innovate, then we must begin to create the opportunities or the provisions. Now, somebody might be looking at me and hearing me today and saying, well, you sound nice, it sounds right, but how do I get into the place of innovation and diversification? While you have several motives to why you want to innovate, let me share with you some prerequisites that can help you, which is the second point. The prerequisites to innovation. Number one, for you to have innovation, or better still, for you to build the path of innovation to be able to diversify, you must understand these few things I'm going to share with you. Number one, prerequisites to innovation is what we call alteration. Alteration. You cannot innovate without intention to alter. So when you come up with a way of doing something apart from the way it used to be, it means a process has changed. Something has been altered. But you see, the ironical part of things is that we have businesses, we have school businesses, we have school leaders, we have business leaders, we have stakeholders, we have business stakeholders, we have educators and professionals, we have regulators, we have government who would love things to change, but will not want things altered. And that's the irony of it. You want subjects, you want grades to change, you want behavior to change, you want attitude and outcome to change, but you're not willing to alter. Alteration is the John the Baptist of innovation. Alteration always would happen. You must be willing to alter process. And for you to alter process, you start by altering thinking. That's why you hear people say mindset change, mindset shift, mindset realignment. Do you understand? So what it simply means is this: alteration. Everyone must ask themselves from today, whether you own a business or you work in a business or you run a business or you are responsible for a business, what things must be altered? Because the time itself that we live in has been altered. The calendar we work with has been altered. A lot of things we do has been altered. Our routine has been altered. You know, I'm sure most of you remember at some point in time, we had what we call curfew. We had lockdown timeline, and then it was a little bit eased out, and then it was extended and all that. But the truth about it is that innovation will only come rushing in when we embrace the principle of alteration. Some schools need to alter their process. Some schools need to alter their creed. They need to alter, in some cases, their mission to fulfilling their vision. Alter in terms of employment or the mode of employment. Alter, in fact, the platform they use for engagement. You understand? Alteration always leads to innovation. Number two is disruption. Now, you might accept and say, Mr. Itai, I love what you said. Fantastic. Very strategic to alter. But you see, it's not enough to alter a process. Sometimes you might need to disrupt the process. You might need to cause it's like a quick in the process. You know, in some cases, disruption is what makes people who regulate to pay attention. While you might alter in the secret, while you might alter in your private domain, you know, disruption has a more power for collective advantage. You see, where people disrupt things because they've been able to show results, or they disrupt things because they are not going to wait for others to come out with answers. And that's what education needs. We don't need to look at any country and see how they fixed education or see how they have lived and moved ahead in spite of the pandemic before we figure things out. And that's why we need to understand. Let me just bring your mind to the recent resumption or no resumption. You know, we need to also understand why we might question the place of planning and the way things are done, but let's take a cue from it. That even sometimes in the place of crisis, there's a message inside of it. So can we disrupt, for example, can we disrupt the principality of WAEC? Can we disrupt the principality of external exams and say that, you know what, we are going to disrupt and we're going to do things regardless of what people have. You know, there's nothing in self-absolute. There is no institution that is irreplaceable. There's no process that is irreplaceable. So, you know, we've known WAEC for many years, 40, 50, 60 years, whatever years. But you understand, if disruption were to take place and schools were able to harmonize and come together in an association level or in a conglomerate level, you can actually have a standardized way of assessing your children, even those at the terminal class, and then the universities will not refuse, if not for anything, for the sake of the pandemic set. And that in itself will be altering history. And it is then innovation has taken place. And from there, you begin to see people begin to diversify. You begin to see people diversify in different ways, either to enable to make things like this happen the more, or to showcase and amplify these things happening the more. So, ladies and gentlemen, you must understand alteration is important. Number two is disruption. Number three is what I call restructure. Now, at the point of alteration, at the point of disruption, things get scattered, things get spontaneous, things get simulated. But the truth about it is that once you've done all that and it's looking nice, you need to now come again and structure things, meaning that you scatter and then you mold. You scatter and then you mold. For those who are familiar with the bonding process for teams, you hear about it. They say there's the first stage, which is called the forming, right? And then after the forming, you now have the storming. After the storming, you now have the numbing. So you form, then you storm, you scatter, you brainstorm, you do a lot of things, you scatter, you try things, and then you numb, you normalize things. It's the same principle for innovation, whether you're a primary school, secondary school, finishing school, A-level school, tertiary institution, whatever industry within the school space, you need to recognize that there's need for alteration, there's need for disruption, there's need for restructure. Structure, again, that's what it means. Repeat structure. That's it. Re is repeat. Structure, repeat the structure. That will make a new framework work in this perspective. And listen, at this point of time, regulators cannot hold on to the past rules, because in the new normal, there will be new policies. In the new normal, there must be new rules. There must be new regulation. We cannot inspect schools like we used to inspect schools. In fact, what we need is school support, not just school inspection. We must add support to it. And this is where the ministries of education across the states must roll up their sleeves and be very dynamic. There must be a restructure of even the Ministry of Education to meet the cogent needs based on the social reality of the public. And then the fifth one is what you call integration. There is going to be a forward integration. There is going to be a backward integration. Let me make an example out of this. We need schools to begin to understand that the pandemic might be the best thing that will happen to them growth-wise, where they might need to think ahead and say, you know what, while we were doing this, we might need to think outside that. You know, what can we do to ensure that we create an integration into what we represent at a school, that even if the curriculum and the standard rule of school is suspended, we can bring things back on board that will not necessarily be on the benchmark of schools. Right? And then when you are able to do that, then diversification can come in. And I'd like to, I know, I'm sure my time is up, so let me just bring this to a close. So let me tell you the two things about diversification in the school business. Number one is this, that when we diversify, our motive and agenda must be clear. Number one, you must understand that the things schools should do now, over 18,500 or 18,900 private schools in Lagos that are registered, we need to start exploring expansion, either as an individual school or as a collective school. Expansion is one of the things to do now. Unfortunately, most people think that a pandemic is a time to cut costs. A pandemic is a time to stop training. A pandemic is a time to go into your corner and manage your yam and rice and beans. But most of the time, if you study economic downturn, if you study crisis and industrial revolution, you will notice that it is in this kind of time and period that you train more. It's in this time of period that you launch out. Those who are late adopters are the ones that will be sorry for it. Check in the stock exchange market, the stories of successes. That's how it happened. Check in the economy, check in the manufacturing industry, check in the agricultural industry, and therefore in the education sector, it can be different. Success will always leave clues. Schools must begin to explore expansion, students beyond borders, engagement beyond borders. And finally, we need to understand that while mitigating the risk in diversification, diversification also includes reduction of risk. So I see and I foresee the principle of business merger. So some schools need to come together and merge. Some schools need to form together and become a conglomerate. It's never happened pronounced in nature before, but it is not impossible either. I see a situation where if we are not careful, big schools will shrink to small schools, and small schools will shrink, we evolve into big schools. It's a predictable pattern. In fact, most of the schools that we know today will shift goalposts, and you find out that individuals will evolve into school, and then schools will now evolve back into individual services. That's what will happen if we do not diversify and begin to innovate. And trust me, innovation is either induced or explored. If we don't innovate on our terms, it will be done on our behalf. And at that time, it will not be on our terms. We will not be the beneficiaries of it. So imagine if a Google that has all our data, that we are using their Google form, that we are using all those things, they now notice that they've recorded 95.6% increase of usage. And they now said, okay, Google wants to start a universal school. You can't stop them. You can't compete with them. Their marketing is seamless. Almost everybody uses Gmail account. Everybody is on YouTube. Everybody is on all those platforms. They will just take up everybody overnight, and it will not be something that we are shocked about. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's either we innovate or we die. It's either we expand or we shrink. And ladies and gentlemen, even though we have the fear, doesn't mean we don't have a cure. That you're afraid of something doesn't mean there's no cure for it. There are people like Florish-Gate, there are people like Joel Olani or Lanre Yusuf blazing the trail. See, we have bright minds in education. This is the best time to bring some people into the room and say, please, can you chart a way? Can you guys help us? Africa can take the world by storm if we put courage and content together. So with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to tell us that innovation and diversification in school business is possible, but it's also going to bring prosperity and prosperity to those who.
Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Amazing.
That was proud.
Amazing. That's why I call him Prof. That's why I call him Prof Rotimi. Mrs. Adekogbe, can you see now? Our audience, can you attest with me that he's a prof? In this pandemic, we try to appoint him as a professor.
Prof. But you know.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
His analysis are top gear.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
This is great, Mr. Iyitayo. This is awesome. And I'm sure that our school owners and our practitioners that are here have taken a number of things down. And please let your questions and your whatever you want to say, please just put it on the comment column. We will call in, yes. We will the next speaker will come up now. Mr. Iyitayo is still with us. Well, the next speaker come, and then we will do all the questioning together so that we can be able to manage our time. Thank you so much, Mr. Iyitayo. That was awesome. Thumbs up. Well done. Yes, sir. Mr. Olaniyan, can you please introduce Chief Otubela in?
All right. I have here the next speaker. I want to be sure everybody hears me. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you.
All right, good. So we have on board Chief Abayomi Otubela. Chief Abayomi Florish-Gate Otubela is a proprietor of Lagos Schools in Lagos State, Alagu School, please, in Nigeria, and the founder of Yomi Otubela Foundation. He's currently the national president of the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools in Nigeria. That's NAPS, N-A-P-P-S. Chief Yomi Otubela had his primary school in Irekodun Primary School and the rest. I want to talk about his passion for higher education, which took him to Ogun State College of Education. He has served and won several awards. Some are former National Deputy President, Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, former President, National Association of Proprietors Public School, Lagos State, Lagos State Man of the Year Award, Education 2013, among others. So many. Honorary Award, Nigeria Red Cross Society, Appreciation Awards, Ilupeju Lion Club 2015. I'm trying to unpick them. And is the convener of the 2019 NAPS Roundtable Conference at Eco Hotel, VI Island. And I think I was part of that program. I remember meeting him and exchanging a few pleasantries. It is no doubt that the contribution of Chief Abayomi Otubela to this webinar will be of a great relevance to us as audience. It is on this note that I want to welcome Chief on this platform to give us its own presentation. He is presenting on the collaboration and quality education of the Nigerian child. We are looking at collaboration and quality education of the Nigerian child. Chief Abayomi, you are welcome on board, sir. Can Chief hear us?
Chief Abayomi, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone can hear me.
Most
Very
definitely,
well, sir.
sir. You are welcome on board, sir.
Okay, we have already in the afternoon. Yes, good afternoon.
We appreciate your contribution to the education sector. So you are welcome on board, sir.
Thank you so much. I want to first of all appreciate Florish-Gate for having me here today to contribute my quota to the discussion for participants here. I also want to say a very big appreciation to the last speaker, Mr. Rotimi Itayo. That was a fantastic one. I was here to share my perspective about collaboration for quality education. I ended up learning under Mr. Rotimi Itayo. It was an explosive one to learn about exchange, experience, expectation, and engagements. I'm sure that participants already are having a whole lot to go home with. Thank you so much for Florish-Gate for bringing that wonderful, brilliant presenter. Mr. Itayo, God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I have before me today a collaboration for quality education in Nigeria. I want to share my slide with all of you, but unfortunately, I am not getting where I am.
So can you send it to me through WhatsApp?
I'll try.
Hello, Chief.
Yes, madam.
Okay, if you can send it to me and then we can share. You can send it to me through my WhatsApp so we can share for you.
Can we send it? Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, everyone, can you hear me, please? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, I hope I'm not muted. So,
no, you are not. You are on, sir. You are not muted.
Okay. I want my thought with you concerning collaboration. Talking about collaboration for quality education for the benefits of Nigeria. We have to be looking at the growth of education.
It's cracking. Your network, sir, it is breaking. We can't hear you, sir. It's breaking. Okay, I think we have to wait for Chief Otubela to rejoin. But while that is on, Mrs. Funsho Chikeze, are you here? Mrs. Chikeze? Mrs. Funsho, are you around? Okay. Hello? While we wait for Chief to come in, at this time we would like to call on Mr. Yusuf. Are you in? Mr. Lanre? Mr.
Yes,
Lanre?
I am. Yes, I am.
Mr. Lanre Yusuf?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Can we have Mr. Okay, please. Maybe you should go ahead. While we wait for
Chief is back
Chief to come back.
I think he's back online now.
Okay. Okay. All right. Again. Oh yes, we can see your slide now.
All right, and you can hear my voice too.
Thank you.
You can have my voice too.
Yes, sir.
Clearly, sir. We can hear your voice clearly, sir.
Right.
Yes, we can hear your voice.
Yes. Yes, I am here to speak about collaboration for quality education for the Nigerian child. And yes, I must say that before I go to collaboration itself, I must confess to us here that we are facing a whole lot of challenge in this country concerning the rights of right to education and child rights generally. You must know that the right child law has not been fully domesticated in all states in the country. And this is in spite that UNICEF is clamoring that right child law is one of the inalienable rights of every children in the world. 42% of Nigerian population is said to be children. And 1/4 of these 42% are out of school between the age of 6 to 14 are said to be out of school on the streets due to trafficking, due to hawking, due to conflicts in an area where there are conflicts and violence, due to poverty, due to other factors that account for over 10 million children out of school, according to Universal Basic Education Commission 2019 December release. And this number is actually alarming, and it calls for attention of all stakeholders for us to begin to look for a way out of the challenge that Nigeria is about to face in the nearest future. I want to say here that the budgetary allocation to education in the country also is far, far low to the number of children that are in Nigerian public school. And in spite of the little that are also allocated yearly, there is little to show for it, just like Madam Adekogbedi Deolu had mentioned in her opening speech. It is therefore important that we begin to look for solutions on how to assist governments from the failure of rendering quality services in education to Nigerian child. This then called for collaboration, it called for public-private partnership. Our last speaker had defined education to be a business. And it is high time we begin to create a conducive environment and atmosphere for private investors to be able to come into our education sector and be able to run affordable yet quality education. I want to say yes. Someone might ask that investors want to make returns. Yes, there are also investors internationally that have passion for education, that have passion for housing, low-cost housing. So it is not out of place that there are investors that are ready to invest billions of dollars of money into our education sector. But that can only be done if our education, our government give a conducive environment. Lawson defined collaboration as a complex intervention with multiple components. This means that we are collaborating to make a process in business better, to also make products of business better. In school palace, we are saying the structure of the school, the system of the school must be self-run. It shouldn't be dependent on individual. With collaboration, these can be achieved. We are also seeing product now as children that are being tutored in either public or private school. And we are looking at students that are going to be developed for global markets, where they can compete with their counterparts all over the country in Europe, America, and what have you. And they should be part of solution provider for our immediate environment and of course for the global village. So to have such a product in our children, we've got to collaborate to ensure we put structure in place and get a better product. I will highlight 10 areas. Because of the little time I have, I will run through them quickly. There are 10 areas I have considered here for us to collaborate. One can collaborate with governments, both at federal level, states, and local level. In collaborating with governments, we can look at influencing government policies through lawmakers to ensure that laws that will make the atmosphere conducive for investors are put in place. We are looking at some policies that will also encourage standardization within our education system, both as public and private. We are aware that in spite of the fact that there are much more demand for private education than that of public, so also that there are so many mushroom private schools that ought not to exist. So if sound policies, government policies could eradicate the opportunity that has been given to these mushroom schools to exist for whatever excuse that government is giving to encourage that. Aside collaboration with governments, you can collaborate with service providers We can collaborate with product providers. We can collaborate with publishers, furniture makers, paint makers, and motivational speakers, experts in psychology, and others to further help school to impact in these children above what an educationist or a school administrator will do. This will also make most of these services and products affordable and accessible to learners and, of course, to their parents that want to take it for them. Aside that, thirdly, we can collaborate among schools. Both public and private can collaborate. There could be private-private collaboration. A good example of that is National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools in Nigeria. It's an association of school owners who have come together to share ideas and bring to the table experiences and, of course, exchange successes and find solutions to individual challenges. Coming together of schools can also force the cost of products and services down to make it affordable, because we can then access these materials or services en bloc. What I mean by that, currently I'll give you an example. During the outbreak of this pandemic, there is a need to buy infrared thermometer. In the open market, sometimes it started with 45,000. By the time import of new products were coming in, we begin to see products of 20,000. By the time we demanded that we are buying about 20,000 pieces, the price came as low as 12,000 naira when we are negotiating with importers. This is one of the benefits of collaboration. Number 4, we can also collaborate among teaching staff within the school. Teachers, for instance, I give a scenario where we have an English teacher who is to teach children on a part of English. Let's take lessons and structure. And we have another English teacher in the same school who is to take summary as a part of English. And over time, we have discovered that one of them is better in one area than the other, even though they don't teach the same class. It's not out of place to bring a teacher teaching another class to take a part where he is excellent in during the period that topic will come out in the syllabus. These can be prepared for before the session commences. It is applicable to all subjects, not only in English. Teachers also have found ways of solving children learning challenges. Some teachers are sound in class control and class management. So we could make teachers study one another while they are teaching in class, with the view of learning the techniques that had made the teacher outstanding. I have sat in a school whereby some teachers complain of some set of children not having their complete notes in their subjects. Then you will see this particular teacher, Mrs. Chinwe, who always have all the children, including the naughty one, have their notes complete at all time we come for inspection. So we have to sit Mrs. Chinwe down to know how he's achieving this. And by the time she finished her explanation, all the other teachers there were blown up. And that school in particular had recorded tremendous success in ensuring that even those slow writers, slow learners, always have their classes and their notes completed, submitted for marking, and improvements were recorded. That is collaboration in the area of teachers. We can also look at collaboration in the community where we exist. In business, it is called social responsibility services, CSR. They call it corporate social responsibility. These children, they play so much pranks while they are coming to school and when they are going off to school. If we engage the community leaders, that malam that sell on the road, that elderly papa who is a retiree who always sits on top of the bank only reading newspaper in the morning, that food seller or sweet seller on the streets, they are all part of school community. And there is a need for school to engage them, for government to engage them, to give information to government on what children do around. And also to ensure that what children need not to buy are not sold within the school community. We have seen some environments where banned drugs are sold within an environment where school exists. And this will not speak well for the growth of a child. Or a community where a bar or a lounge or a beer parlor is situated right in front of a school. This would definitely will not speak well for the total child growth. Number 6, we can also collaborate with investors. There are so many investors, like I have said, who are interested in education. And they don't mind having little return back for their money because it's their passion. So instead of running to bank all the time to look for loan at 2-digit interest rates, one can get both local and international investors who have passion for education, who some are ready to bring experts on board to join the school. Some are ready to give the school the funds to use to run. But your transparency, your record keeping, and expertise will attract these investors, and you can grow schools so fast. Without mentioning name, I have few schools at my fingertips that have grown their schools beyond expectation because they collaborated with investors. I also want to say that another way we can collaborate is to collaborate with alumni of the school. Over time, you will see that school will have grown so many products who are graduated. Some have been in business world, some have become executive, and they are beginning to make impacts. It is an opportunity for any school to ensure that they create a forum that is active, where the directors, proprietors of those schools are also active in an alumni cycle. If we take University of Lagos, for example, recently I see what some of the alumni are doing to ensure that they take part in maintaining the standard of University of Lagos. So these aspects can also help in growing our school. Item number 8, I guess, we can collaborate effectively with parents. It is laughable to hear some schools cry wolf of the fact that they are scared of allowing parent teachers associations or parent forum to exist in their school because of the fear that there could be gang up to influence against the policy of the school. Rather, I see this as being myopic. I see this as not being sincere. Where you run a transparent administration, there is nothing to hide. Criticism of PTA can only make schools stronger and better. Lack of PTA can only run a school that is full of average. So collaborating with PTA give room to allow consumers of your services to be part of decision making, and you can only see the best out of this. Number 9, there are some international schools, foreign schools that are ready for exchange. And by exchange, I mean children can pay visit to this school in the foreign land and they also can come visit this school. We also have situations where we have foreign teachers who are on holiday, who are ready to come around to share their view. Finally, on item number 10, we can also collaborate in the area of collaborating with professionals. Professionals that are ready to mentor the children. This is the area where mentorship comes on board. Mentor the children in the area of ensuring that, for instance, a successful security officer, take for example a police. A senior police officer could be asked to come to the school to speak to the children during one of their cultural day or career day. And you begin to see these children begin to have a new perspective of what police are meant for and how people can be a professional police officer rather than what they are used to on the road. You can invite a pilot, you could invite a lawyer, you could invite a farmer, name it, that will speak to the children's hearts on the challenges and prospects that are in their career. I have seen children change their career when doctors spoke about challenges that they face at job. And the child said, no, I better go for engineering course now that I know better. The benefit of collaboration is so enormous. It allows for you to grow beyond human, just a person capacity. It allows you to share expertise. It allows you to bring other people's money to business to grow business. It allows you to allow many children to access affordable education and take many of them out of schools. The benefits also ensure that child right is protected. The only way to go to solve the problem of this country is for us to stop seeing running school as a one-man show. It is painful when we heard people at the helm of our care without consultation and upturn decision-making about schools. It's happened in recent time when people from the same office are speaking from different sides of the mouth. That shows lack of collaboration. I want to appreciate all of you for listening to me, for being attentive, and also say a big thank you to Florish-Gate for allowing me to share my perspective on how we can improve standard of education for the growth and development of our country. God bless you all.
That was awesome, sir. Well done. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that well thought out presentation. Sincerely, we are grateful. There's so much. I have my jotter here and I've been writing so much. Well done. Yes, we will go to the next. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You'll be in the studio back so that other presenters come, but you are still with us because we'll take the questions later. Thank you. Mrs. Chikeze, Mrs. Funshaw, please. Okay. All right. If she's not in, Mr. Larry.
Yes, good afternoon.
Mr. Yusuf.
Yes, I'm ready.
Good. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Very well,
good.
Thank you.
It's good to have you in, and I'm sure that you are very loaded for us. It's your turn now. I will just.
Okay.
Yes. Our next speaker is a very passionate, energetic, very young man doing greatly in this sector. is Mr. Olanrewaju Yusuf. Is the executive director, Give Back Group. You know, when I saw that, I said Give Back Group. You know, that was very powerful. You know, the executive director of Give Back Group. You know, that is really loaded, and I'm sure that a lot of
Yes,
schools are here because Mr. Lare is ready to give back. You know, for what the community and society has blessed him with. He's an exceptional educator with a difference. He's a language and literacy specialist, you know, with both masters and the first degree. He is also a lecturer, you know. He lectures at the National Industrial Training Institute in Saudi Arabia, where he specializes in English for the oil and gas industry. You know, he is also very versatile with O levels and sixth form level of education. I have known him. He's always been so passionate, full of energy. He's here to tell us and let us know how can we bridge the gap, bridging the gulf between the privileged and the underprivileged. Is it a right that every Nigerian child should be educated, no matter who they are, even if they come from the lowest, from the lowest of the divide? And is it just that education is meant for the high and mighty alone? So Mr. Lanre is here to talk to us about that, and he's been doing a project in that area too. Mr. Lanre, you have the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mal, for that wonderful introduction. I feel humbled and honored already for that introduction. I hope I'll be able to live up to all the hype. But without much delay, without much delay, I would jump right into the meat of today's topic. So my name is Larry Yusuf, as she had said, and I'll be talking about bridging the gulf for underprivileged learners. That's just the paraphrase of the topic itself. So the structure of today's talk will take this route. The first we'll have to sort out is there a gulf really? Do we admit that there's a gulf in learning or in education between underprivileged people, underprivileged learners, and those who are privileged? And then we'll have to look at the pandemic effect on this widening gulf. And then we'll also have to look at how we can complement. And I like what Chief Utubela just finished talking about, which is collaboration. He has actually touched on some of the things that I will be talking about, and I'm really, really honored to see that my thought pattern aligns with a veteran like that. And then finally, we'll be looking at future protections and solutions in bridging the gulf. So let's ask ourselves, is there really a learning gulf between underprivileged and privileged learners in Nigeria? Yes, there is. For some people, they say it's a gap, and I say no, it's not a gap. It's a gulf. It's a really, really wide divide that cuts across a lot of things. And let me give you a background to this. In a country of over 100 million people, education cannot be the job of the government alone. If we decide that we have to leave education to the government alone, we're in for a really rude awakening and big surprise. And there are over 1,045 public schools, public primary schools in Lagos State. And counterpart to that number, we have over 20,000 public private primary schools. So you can see that the gap flows more to the private sector than to the public sector. And the ironic thing is that out of these 20,000 private schools that we have, we can say maybe only 3,000 out of them can be regarded as top flight schools. And the rest are what we call mushroom schools in in a derogatory way, which I've been told is not the right appellation to call them. They are not mushroom schools; they are called low-cost schools. Now, if you look at this number, it sort of shows up a lot of things for us. And the thing it shows up is that a lot of the learners that we have in Lagos, let's use Lagos as a sample case. A lot of the learners that we have in Lagos are currently those who are living below that level that we can call average. So the socioeconomic status that they have can can be said to put them into the underprivileged category. So we have more underprivileged learners than the privileged ones, which is why we're having this discussion today. How do we fashion out a structure where the majority who do not have access to quality education now get to have access to it? And this is what we'll try to sort out today. Now, looking at that background with all that information, you would admit that the pandemic has made things worse. And why? Since the schools have been shut down, the solution that has been touted by everybody is technology, online learning, and online learning. But the truth of the matter is this: online learning is a luxury, is a luxury for a lot of people. And if out of 20,000 schools, we have only 3,000 that can afford online learning, that can afford to run online classes, then we have at least 17,000 who are out of the loop. And these are not private schools. These are not public schools. These are private schools that are already cut off from the loop. Now imagine the plight of the public schools. Now the state government is running running classes on TV and on radio, which is a really laudable initiative. I find it very commendable. But the truth of the matter is that the TV and radio classes are not realistically feasible, and I will explain why. It's not feasible because the first thing is this. Let's look at the timing of the programs. The times when the programs are put into are times when the parents who have control of those devices are not at home. So even if the kids can listen to those lessons on radio, they can watch those lessons on TV, the parents who would operate those devices for them are not at home. One. The second thing that we have is this: is that we erroneously assume that a lot of people in this Lagos or in this country have access to TVs and radios, and that is a fallacy. I've been to places within the course of this pandemic that has shown me that things that we consider as normal things are quite out of the reach for a lot of people. I've been to places where mobile phones, I'm not talking about Android-enabled phones. Now, mobile phones, ordinary mobile phones are a luxury. And you have maybe a street of maybe like 15 houses sharing one phone. So when a call comes in, they call each other to come and receive the call, or they schedule a time for you to use the phone. How will online and radio classes or TV classes get to these people? This is a challenge, and this is a reality that we all have to admit exists. Now, these are all the problems that we're listing out, but are there solutions to these problems? Yes, there are solutions to these problems. A friend of mine, his name is Teacher Animi George, he gave a shocking statistic, and he said 6 out of 10 learners in Lagos currently are not learning. I'll repeat that. 6 out of 10 learners in Lagos are currently not learning. They're not doing anything. And why is this? Because the problem is this. The pandemic has caused the school shutdown. All the children are at home. And what are the vices that we are seeing? What are the attendant effects of this? We've seen a rise in the cases of rape and child molestation. We've seen a rise in the case of missing children. We've also seen a rise in the case of thuggery and violence. We've also seen a rise in the case of retrogressive, how would I say it, a retrogression in learned concepts. What do I mean by retrogression? You have students who have been at home for 3 months without any academic engagement, without any learning support. There's no way that what they've learned 3 months ago will still be fresh in their minds. When the federal government announced and said students should come and write WAEC, I felt it was a joke, because you're telling SS3 students who have been at home for 3 months with no support, with no academic engagement, to come back and write an external exam that will determine the rest of their lives. I don't think that's a well thought out plan. So I think I commend the federal government for pulling out of that exercise for this year, because it doesn't make any sense really. But all these are problems. All these are issues. Now let's get to what are the solutions that we can do. What are the things that we can do to bridge this learning gulf? The first thing that I will start with before I even talk about bridging learning gulf is that bridging the learning gulf is a complementary, I will repeat that, is a complementary exercise. The private sector cannot fix it. It is a job of the government. It is only the government that has the structure, that has the power and the wherewithal to effect wide-ranging change. If we're going to change the curriculum, if we're going to change the structure of schooling, if we're going to change the timetable, the calendar of schooling, it cannot be done without governmental input. So anything that we are doing as private sector individuals, it must be in complementary role to what the government is doing. That's one thing that a lot of people fail to realize. So they say, oh no, the government is not doing this, so we can do it on our own. No, we cannot, especially when it comes to education. Education as a field is too important to be left alone to private individuals. It must be a joint effort by both the government and the private sector individuals. So now that we know this, what is the role of people like me? The group I run is called the Give Back Group. We are an NGO. We call ourselves a volunteer-driven social development organization. And what is the role of NGOs? What is the role of private individuals in bridging the gulf? I would share a quote by Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is a Chinese philosopher who wrote The Art of War. He said something. He said, the job of a leader is to become obsolete. Now, when you become obsolete, it means you're no longer useful. And that is the role of a leader. A leader must lead in such a way that his usefulness becomes irrelevant. You have raised leaders, you have groomed leaders, you have fixed the problem, so you are no longer needed at that particular point in time. And this also ties into what my very good friend, Mr. Rotimi Eitayo, always shares. He says that NGOs should be like bandages. They are just there temporarily to just make the wound get better. They are not a permanent cure for the wound. They are not a permanent solution to the problem. What private sector individuals are doing is just to intervene and fix a gap. You cannot completely solve the problem if you don't have governmental buy-in. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. So what are we doing as Give Back Group? What we discovered is that since these kids are at home, the areas that we focus on are education, health, and security. Since the kids are at home, cases of health, problems in health have increased. So we're having, like I mentioned, cases of rape. We're having more problems with children coming down with diseases because they're at home. They're just running around on the streets. They're just playing around on the streets. So they are prone to a lot of dangerous things. The rate and the issue of security is also involved. So we have more cases of missing children. In the slums that we reach out to, there's a slum at a place called Ilaje Otumara, which is the place we went to yesterday. Ilaje Otumara is around Postain Papa Road area. I was speaking with the chairman of their community development association, and he gave me some surprising facts that left me wow. He said something. He said in Ilaje Otumara community, they take an average of 4 to 5 deliveries every day. 4 to 5 babies are born every day in that community. And we have women who have up to 18 children. And he said that recently, during this pandemic, 18 children, yes, in that community. Yes, one woman, 18 kids in that community.
That's wonderful.
I'm telling you, I would use the Yoruba version. He said, we don't have money, but we have kids and we have children and we have good health. And I could see it well. The first day of the street school that we ran there, we had 72 attendees. By the time we ran the second day, we had almost 300 attendees. And we had to stop them coming because we had to enforce social distancing and keep to all the rules that the state government has given. But I digress, really. So now what he now said is that one of the major problems that they are facing during this pandemic is a high rate of missing kids. Children are getting missing. Security has become a problem. They are having children who are in GSS2, who are in GSS3. Just because they are idle, they are being indoctrinated into cultism and violence and thuggery in the area. So when we brought our street school initiative there, it was a really welcome development for them because it was, this is something that would at least keep the children engaged. So what are we doing with street school? What we're doing with street school is this. We thought about the fact that if these kids are on the streets and they cannot come to school, we will bring the school to the streets to them. So what we do is our model is we run open air classes under tents. We get 15 children per session, which is just to be in line with the rule that says not more than 20 people in a gathering. We have 15 children seated under a tent. We have a teacher and a teaching assistant. That's an average of 17 people for every session. It's been an amazing experience. We've been able to touch more than 6 or 7 slums in Lagos, and we've been able to record at least 1,500 kids touched directly, and we're still counting. Our aim, our vision is to touch 10,000 learners, and we're on course for that, and it's something that is doable. Now, how does the government come in? How does the governmental support come in? What we do is that for every location that we go to, we try to get in touch with the community leaders there, the CDA chairman, we have ballers, if they are a local rural community, we meet them, and we also try to see the local government chairman for that area, and we also try to meet the police, the DPO for that location also. So we go there, we introduce ourselves, we give them an outline of what we're doing, so that social distancing rules are not being flouted. We provide face masks for all the kids who are attending our classes. We provide sanitizing units, hand washing units for all the kids who are attending our classes. And we also ensure that we have at least one security personnel detailed positioned with us, maybe a policeman, a civil defense officer, anybody that has at least an element of official standing that is always with us. This is to underline the fact that we cannot do this alone without governmental support. If we had run this without having at least one element of government presence there, we would be flouting government rules. And that will open us up to litigation with the governmental bodies, which is something that we don't want, because what we are trying to do is to fix a gap. Government cannot afford to get these kids back into school. There's no way they can do it. Everybody is scared of the health risk. What can private individuals do? Now, nature abhors a vacuum. When there's a vacuum, it finds a way to be filled. One of the things you notice around these slums is that you find teachers, private school teachers who are at home, they start running what they call home lessons. Now, a private school teacher that is running home lessons has maybe like 30 to 40 kids in their own house, in that small house that they have, without any provisions for hand washing or face mask or anything, because the teacher is only interested in making money, right? Teacher wants to make money. Schools are not paying salaries, and it's doing home lessons, and the parents are willing to pay the 200 naira, 100 naira daily lesson fee. That's the way it works. When there's a gap, people find a way to fix it. People find a way to plug into that gap, irrespective of if the gap is, irrespective of if they are doing it the right way or the wrong way. So what we can do as conscious individuals, as well-meaning individuals, is to find a much more favorable, responsible way of plugging that gap, which is what brought about the Street School initiative. Now, we have partners all over Lagos. One of our partners is the Unusual School team, who have also been able to scale their own provision to other areas in Lagos State, and they are doing an amazing job also. Now, all this comes together in one particular area, and this is this. When you are providing this kind of solutions, when you're providing this kind of alternatives to governmental policies, or you're trying to fix a gap for government, what you should put into place are these. I'll list out the 5 things that I think should be key when we're trying to bridge the learning gap, or we're trying to bridge the gulf for underprivileged learners and the privileged ones. The first thing that we must do is this, and this is quite important. We must collaborate. I am happy that Chief Otubela had mentioned this and he had stressed it so much, and I'll just run through this. We must be ready to collaborate. One of the key things that I find in the private sector is that we look down on teachers in the public sector. We look down on public sector professionals and see them as maybe, how do we say it, half-baked or quack. But the truth of the matter is this. The children in the public schools are the ones who are going to be competing with our products, the ones in the private schools. And if the political scene in Nigeria is anything to go by, you will find out that the children in the public schools are probably going to be the one leading us in the future, while the ones that we train in the private schools are just going to be in their offices, probably earning money. The children in the public schools are the ones who are prone to become more socially conscious. They are the ones who will become the agberos. that will be now held up and prompted by the political godfathers. So why don't we from now influence these children positively? So what we do at the Give Back Group is we call it a knowledge exchange program. We bring teachers from the private schools, we take them to the public schools, and we get them to share teaching strategies and learning content that the kids in the public schools will not have access to. I'll give you an example. So in the public school now, the kids are supposed to learn addition, subtraction, maybe that's the syllabus item for the month. But how do they teach them? The normal rote learning way. So the teacher comes to class, give them a lesson note, writes the sums on the board, and they solve it. But what do we have in the private schools? We have a teacher coming in doing mental maths warm-up exercises. We have them doing finger mathematics. We have them playing videos and all that. So what we do is we take all those contents that we have in the private schools, we take volunteer teachers, and we have a lot of volunteer teachers. I'll have to commend the teachers in the education sector. They've been amazing. People have been volunteering to help these kids out. So we take a teacher, we take them to a public school that we are usually in partnership with. Before the pandemic came, what we used to do was we would go to the education districts for every location that we were targeting. So we would probably meet the education secretary there, we would get permission to liaise or to interface with at least the primary schools or the public primary schools around that area. So we would meet the headmistress who would invite us. They would give us a day. We'll be invited to the school and we'll have our teachers go there and engage these children. We've done creative writing boot camps for them. We've done public speaking exercises for them. We've run sessions in mental maths and abacus mathematics. And one of the key things that we've noticed is that the only difference in intelligence, the only difference in performance is access. The kids in the public sector, the so-called underprivileged kids, are as intelligent, as willing to learn, and would probably fly as high as the ones in the private schools if they have access to the same content and to the same teaching strategies that those in the privileged areas have. This is a fact that has been proven time and again. So for us, this is what we feel is called bridging the learning gap. Going forward for us, what we are doing going forward is we're running an initiative called Learning Packs, and I'll briefly explain that. So what we're doing with the Learning Packs is what is done in the so-called developed countries of the world. What you find in those places like Canada or in the northern regions of Europe is that there are rural areas, there are so-called remote countryside areas. What they do is they get worksheets and workbooks. I'm sorry, my network is fluctuating. That's why the video is going on and off, but I'll try and get it back. So they get worksheets and workbooks, and they go to the houses of these remote or underprivileged learners, and they drop it in their houses. So it's a sort of continuous academic engagement. So instead of you coming to school, because school is too far away from you, because you do not have access to transportation or probably money to come to school, we would bring school to your doorstep. So they go to the houses, they drop learning packs for them, and we've been able to replicate this also in Nigeria. We have so what we do is we curate and create worksheets. We gather them for a whole week. We have maybe like 4 days of worksheets. That's 1 sheet per day, gathered together, and it is class and age appropriate. And then we also tag it with something we call a goodie bag, which is a small bag of treats, edible treats for the children. The first one we did, we cost it at 150 naira. So we have probably Cocoa Pops and just something enticing for the kids, and we drop it at their houses. The response was mind blowing. The first project of learning packs that we were able to do, we were able to touch 500 learners. And by the time we were getting back the worksheets from them to mark, by the time we were getting it back, the community leader in Okuwaba presented another 1,000 names of kids who were waiting for us to come and drop worksheets for week 2. So we saw that, yes, we saw that socioeconomic status was not a barrier to learning. Children who are rich are interested in learning, so also are children who are poor. They are also interested in learning. They want to learn. The only thing that they need is access to quality content and quality teaching methodologies or strategies. And this is something that we've been doing time and again. We've been able to scale it to other areas, and we intend to do much more. So let me quickly just round up and give us what are my future projections and what are the solutions that I feel we can implement in trying to bridge the learning gulf. The first thing, and I've mentioned it in passing, is this: there must be more public-private synergy. There must be a synergy between the public sector and the private sector. This divide between private school teachers, public school headmistresses or school leaders, and private school administrative staff, it should be collapsed. We need to bridge it as soon as possible for the kids that are in our care. If we do not bridge it, it's going to have a resultant effect later on. The second thing that we should do is this, is that we now leverage on that synergy that we have to improve content, delivery, and evaluation. Those three key areas. We should leverage on that synergy between the private and public sector to improve what? The content that is being distributed across board. We should also improve the delivery, because what you find is that the Nigerian curriculum is actually quite good. It is the way that it is delivered and implemented that is troublesome. So if we can do a sort of knowledge exchange program where we mentor teachers in the public sector on better delivery, on better teaching of these curriculum items, I think we would have done something really well. And then the last area is evaluation. How are the kids, how are these so-called underprivileged learners, how are they evaluated? You go to the private school, you go to the private sector, or you go to the so-called privileged sector, and you see that the children there have a range of evaluation options. So a child in a private school can be asked to draw to show that he has understood the concept. He can be asked to draw, he could be asked to make a presentation or stuff like that. But do you find that in the public school? No. The only thing you find in the public sector or in the so-called underprivileged class is just write out. There's no difference, there's no variety for evaluation. So those three key areas: learning content, delivery, and then evaluation. The second area a second solution, we should have a regulated knowledge exchange mechanism, and I'll explain that. So Give Back Group is just a small minor organization in the whole sea of education sector in Nigeria, and we're running a knowledge exchange program. What I think can be done is that we should scale this up. This knowledge exchange program can be adopted by bodies like NAPS. Sorry to reference Chief Otubela. By the private sector, yes, by bodies like NAPS, by bodies like APEN, where, okay, yes, so APEN has a partnership with the Lagos State Ministry of Education, where APEN every quarter or every month selects a certain number of teacher trainers or teachers in the private schools and post them to the public school as a secondment or like a posting where they go there to maybe train their teachers, evaluate, or do something like a knowledge exchange program, but in a much more regulated way. Remember, no effective change can be seen in the education sector without government participation. If we're doing this in our little spaces and we're not collaborating, we're not doing this at the body level, at the association level, it is not going to fly. And for me, one other last thing that I feel can also be done to also bridge this learning gap that we have between the private and the public sector is to leverage on the power of connections. Leverage on the power of connections. A lot of us in the private sector, we always say, what can I do? What can I do? I'm just a teacher. I'm just a school owner. I'm just an administrator. What can I do as an individual? What you can do is this: you have a network of people that you know. You have a network of people that you know all around Lagos. Let's even start from Lagos alone. If you, as a person, call everybody in your network or reach out to your network to find which areas can you do. There are some schools in Surulere that I know who run this Adopt a School program, where private schools adopt a public school. So it becomes like a sister school to them, where they take their kids for excursions, where they bring the public school students also for some knowledge sessions in their private schools, where they donate books. So the books that you finish using in your school and your kids are no longer reading in that school, and you feel that they are torn and they are this, you can staple them, you can sellotape them and distribute them, and distribute them to the private and distribute them to the public schools to stock up their libraries. These little strategies that all of us are doing in our individual places is what will join together to become the mighty ocean that would bridge that learning gap that we are all clamoring about, that we are all crying about. So for me, I think as much as we are doing it individually, we should also start a sort of advocacy where we are pushing this online, we're pushing this on our platforms, we're pushing this on in any way that we can, because there's a ticking time bomb with these underprivileged learners. If we do not take care of them, they will come up later in the future to swallow us all up. And I pray to God that we're not around when this cataclysm happens. So for me, I think that would round up my session because I just want to just make it quite short and just very direct. And I think that for a lot of us who are listening here today, you might consider yourself powerless, but in our individual spaces, we might not have too much power. But together, collectively, collaboratively, we can effect long-lasting change that we need in the education sector. Thank you very much.
This is awesome. This is another awesome session. This is also very power-packed. We appreciate you, Mr. Olanrewaju Yusuf. This is eye-opening. And a lot of questions are also on there. This is great. Mr. Fowowe, are you in? Okay. Mr. Lanre. Hello, Mr. Yusuf. Hello, Mr. Lanre.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, yes. While we're waiting for the other speakers, I think you can take, there is one or two questions here for you.
Oh,
one
yes,
question okay, let me get that question out. Somebody asks, how did you get the 6 to 10 ratio? How did you get the 6 to 10 ratio of children that are not learning?
Okay.
They say, can you explain the ratio of 6 to 10 of children not learning with facts? I don't know if you have any.
Yes. Can I respond to that now, madam?
Very well, please do.
Okay. Now, I'm not a mathematician, so I might not probably be able to go into the numbers in detail. But from the data that we have gathered, we have discovered that if we say Lagos is a city of 25 million.
Okay, the issue is in studio level.
Yes. So if we say Lagos is a city of 25 million people, and we say we have an average of say 10 million learners in Lagos, in the areas that we've gone to, we call them the inner city, low income and densely populated communities. And I'll give you a rundown of some of the areas. We're talking about areas in Lagos mainland like Onyibo, Okobaba, Makoko, Iwaya. We're talking about areas in Ajegunle. We're talking about areas in Amuwo Odofin local government where we have Amuwo, we have Mazamaza, and we have Festac inside. And we're also talking of places in Ojo like Afromedia. When we went to these areas, every street school session that we've had, and on an average, we have at least 50 learners coming. And of all those 50 learners that we have coming, we have not less than 40 of them not having any prior adult engagement, academic engagement throughout the whole 3 months. These are children who their parents are not even concerned about if they've read or if they've done anything that relates to academic. So we looked at this data that we've collated and we discovered that this is a recurring pattern across board in Lagos. So these are locations that are far flung from each other. You have Ojo in the east of Lagos, and you have somewhere like Lagos mainland in the central location, and you have somewhere like Eredo in Eke, which is on the western end axis of Lagos. And this same recurring problem is something that we have noticed in all these places, which is why I came to that approximated data where I said 6 out of 10 learners in Lagos are not learning effectively.
Thank you, Mr. Larry.
Yes,
and
sir.
I hope Abbas Morayo got that. Abbas Morayo, I hope you got that, that explanation. Thank you once again. Well, we wait for other questions to come in. Also calling one of another yes, great one. Do we have Mr. Eitayo in the house? Mr. Eitayo, are you seeing? Okay. While we wait for Mr. Eitayo, Chief Otubela, are you in? Are you in the studio? Okay. I think the network has really been very interesting. I'll get in next speaker to also give us a word. And yes, I like to comment a comment here. There is a school, Jimo Quadre, Al-Azima School. That was awesome. That was great. Al-Azima School said they got all their teachers new laptops to be able to fit into the new norm. They got them all new laptops and they are able to fit. That's good. I'm sure that a number of schools also love to do that, but that was brilliant. That was very good for you. Okay, Mr. Yaya wants your contact. Mr. Larry, Mr. Ahmed Yaya wants your contact. I'll send that to him, so that you can get to question for Chief Otubela. Yes, please just hold. Can you write out the question, please? Okay, yes, I've seen it. As soon as he comes, you will be able to attend to that. You will attend to that. Great. We wait for. Okay, Mr. Joel, are you back?
Yes, so
Mr. Joel, you're back. Hello. Mr. Laniyan. Mr. Laniyan. Okay, so in getting our children, getting education across to our children, not just kind of education, talking about quality education. And quality itself, of course, is relative. But in the bit of what we know is right, even at the public and at the private sector, is important for us to ensure that we get a lot of things right. Collaboration is one word that has come up in almost all the presentation that we have had so far. Nothing that we can do all by ourselves without collaborating. We cannot work with the schools without the government. As a matter of fact, the schools won't even allow you to come in if there is no approval from the Ministry of Education. I'm talking about Lagos State, and I know the same thing is applicable. Nobody just walk into any school and say, I want to do this for the school. There is need for, a collaboration. There is need for approval. And I'm sure the government also, they also put in place some level of screening, for NGOs or for partners to come in to be able to assist in one way or the other. Now, that's government. What about the low-income schools? The low-income schools are even lower than the public schools. What plans? What are the things that can be done to this set of people to help them? Because all the children won't attend all the high schools. There will still be those who will attend the local school. For example, that woman with 18 children, I don't know what work she does. I don't know what business she does, but I'm sure that she's not likely to be able to send them all to school. They're likely going to end up doing one trade or the other. So, and those 18 children, they are part of the population that we need to really take care of, that we really need to be concerned about. Thank God for the street school concept, Mr. Yusuf is a brilliant one. And with as many that are doing it, there is also need for collaboration even among the NGOs. You need to collaborate so that you are not fishing in the same pool. If an NGO is in a particular location, oh, thank God Mr. Fower is in. If an NGO is in a particular location, there is no point for another NGO to come to that same location. The NGO should locate another area so that everybody in the state or in that environment can be blessed. Thank you once again, Mr. Yusuf. Mr. Fower, you're welcome.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Fower, yes, it's good to have you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I'm sure that others can do too. I'll just introduce you now. Mr. Simeon Fowowe is a senior lecturer in the Adesanya College of Education. I've forgotten the name now. He used to be in Lagos State College of Education, Lacoid, but I think he's now Abraham Adesanya College of Education in Ijanikin. He's the head of department of early childhood, education, and also the president, the national president of Association of Nursery Early Years Schools, Ampian. He's a teacher of teachers, and he's been doing a lot of things. He's admin of Ampian groups, and they've been doing a lot of. He's one person who has also celebrated his birthday by organizing training, like 12 hours training, for different facilitators coming up. It is good to have you here, Mr. Fowowe. Thank you, sir. You can have the stage.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody in the house.
You're welcome.
I am glad to be here. And I want to specially commend the angelic Mrs. Dideolu Adekogbe, somebody I respect so much because of her passion for education. And also, I want to commend you, seize this opportunity. Where else can we celebrate you, if not for this kind of forum? I want to commend your effort for that. Bring back our primary 6. I pray our enterprise will thrive on this subject matter. However, I have been mandated to speak briefly within 15 minutes, like you have given me, on teacher education in Nigeria and the new normal and the matter arising. I want to say, quote, the former governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Raji Fashola, who described education as a currency which no central bank can print, but that everybody wants. I want to ask in the studio and the audience, who does not want Naira currency? I doubt if there's anyone that will say does not want Naira currency. So education is described, it's a currency that no central bank can print, but every citizen of a country desire. Having said that, I need to briefly talk about what teacher education in Nigeria especially means. Teacher education in Nigeria is the education given to teachers in training and who will be teaching, who will be expected to teach after 3 or 4 years training in a college of education or faculty of education of any university. Take note, in Nigeria, there is nothing like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 again. The minimum entry requirement into teaching in Nigeria, I don't know of any country, is NCE, that's Nigeria Certificate in Education. The question today is, when this new normal, that is when the pandemic broke out, and everybody, including the digital trainers, the school owners, the caregivers, the school heads, everybody started running scatter. Why? Because we don't even know how to tackle this pandemic, especially teachers. What do we do? Why at home? But God bless Nigeria, God bless the teachers, God bless the school system, that they rose to the occasion, and now we are, by the grace of God, tackling it one after the other. But the question is, after this normal, after this pandemic, what next? Just like somebody said, God bless the last speaker, who said, there is nothing significant we can do in this country without government intervention. If before we have been doubting this statement, the recent conflict between the Minister of Education and the State Minister, there is a conflict. I wonder why two of them from the same cabinet are discussing something or are saying something contrary to each other. I wonder, up to now, they need to be questioned. From the same cabinet, one requested for timetable from WAEC, another one after 2 days is saying that WAEC cannot impose timetable on Nigeria. I was wondering, up till now, they need to convince me that they are working in tandem with the same policy. I haven't said that. I want to say that the normal is no longer normal. Yes, the normal is no longer normal, as a lot of things have changed. Before today, if you ask any undergraduate in this context means somebody from a college of education or faculty of education in the university. If you ask them what are the forms of education, they are quick to tell you that there are formal, non-formal, and informal. I bet you those three things, forms cannot help any longer. I'm not saying they should be discarded totally, but I am afraid we need to include the all-important form, which is incidental education. Incidental education. What do I mean by incidental education? It is education, ideas, insight by some accidental encounters. I must tell you, and I must tell you that it took me a rehearsal before I could master the use of this YouTube. Before, we are used to Zoom or Google Meet and other, but this is about the first time I will be taking this, and that is, I was not taught in the university, or even up to PhD level. Nobody will teach you but what I refer to as accidental form of education will teach you. Ever than before, teachers, both in service, those who are already practicing teachers, and the pre-service teachers must embrace more and more what I call incidental form of education. You must begin to learn, relearn, and unlearn, and embrace learning that is LL inclined. Learning that is LL inclined, lifelong learning that will take you beyond 4 walls of the classroom, learning that will take you beyond pandemic. This is what is expected of every teacher. The matters arising now are so many, but because of the time constraint, the NCC and NUC, if they are hearing me clearly, and I'm sure the communique or this program will be communicated to them. The NUC and the NCC is a regulating body that controls, that manages colleges of education. Of course, NUC is a commission that manages university. They should, as a matter of urgency, bring together experts to generate additional curriculum that will embrace emergencies. I will call it emergency curriculum. They should include, before school resume if possible, they should generate and include curriculum content that will revolve around this emergency and this electronic platform that can be used to teach children. I want to quickly say, for those who are hearing for the first time, teacher education, there are 3 that is universal in most textbooks, but we have just added the 4th one. There are 4 modes of teachers preparation. That is, for every teacher to be called professional teacher, apart from TRUC and their licenses, there are 4 modes that every teacher training institute must train the teacher with. 1, we have content knowledge. Content knowledge is very important. The knowledge of the subject matter. If you are studying English, for example, you must know adequately, to some extent, satisfactorily, what you are going to teach, either primary, junior secondary, or senior secondary. Then number 2 is pedagogic knowledge. Pedagogic knowledge. It is knowledge of the art of teaching. Knowing the subject matter, you must know the art, A-R-T, of teaching. How do you use chalkboard? How do you generate assessment? How do you evaluate? How do you group? All of this come under pedagogic knowledge. Then we have a pedagogic content knowledge. Pedagogic content knowledge. How to teach the method of English, how to teach the method of mathematics, how to teach the method of music or fine art. That is pedagogic knowledge. And the 4th one, which is added and very important, is knowledge of learners, of the learners we are teaching, and the learning. Knowledge of the learners and the learning. You must know the peculiarity of the children in your class and the learning styles. Very important. The learning peculiarity of the children in your class and the learning profile. Very, very, very important. The fundamental question that I want to pose to every teacher trainer, either at the College of Education level, university, are we faithful in the implementation of the minimum standard? We call curriculum in college education minimum standard. Are we faithful in the implementation of the minimum standard, taking into cognizance all what I've said? I am afraid the answer is flying in the air. I'm afraid the answer is flying in the air. And because of my time, I want to look at briefly in the next 20 years, starting from this year 2020, in this pandemic, what are the expectations of teachers now? Teachers that must be employed, and those that have employed, what are the things they should be expecting from their learners in the next 20 years? Number 1 is student ownership. The owner of the class is not the teacher. The owner of the class, honestly, are students. So you must have at the back of your mind that if you are going to class A, the owner of that class are the students. So make sure that they are very active. Make sure they are very active. Even if the curriculum in the university or college education does not prescribe that, you must have it at the back of your mind. Then number 2 is data interpretation. It is high time every teacher learned the basics of research. You must know how to collect data now and how to interpret the data using qualitative and quantitative analysis. Teacher, as a matter of necessity now, must know how to interpret collect data like the former speaker did. Teacher must be a data interpreter. Also, exam will change completely in Nigeria. That has come to stay. assuming we are prepared for this, perhaps WAEC for the first time will have been written online. I'm sure subsequently they will take care of that. And of course, exam will change completely. The way we set exam, the way we set question has changed. So these are expectations in the next 20 years. Then the next one is mentoring will become more important. Yes, all teachers must mentor. You must have mentees now. You must have mentees in your class subsequently. After this pandemic, if you have not been doing that, you must have mentees at all levels. Then there is now personalized learning. Yes, personalized learning is realistic and is visible. If government will support us, you must personalize learning. Peradventure, you have 5 learners in a class. Honestly, even if they are from the same father, they have different learning styles. So you must personalize learning for student A and personalize learning for student B up to the last one. Then there must be diverse time and place. Students can now learn anywhere now. They can learn in the toilet, they can learn in the church, they can learn on the road. Unlike before, that learning is restricted to the classroom 4 walls. No, in the next 20 years after this pandemic, there must be diverse time and place students can learn. Take note of that. And many others. I remember I am very, very busy today. I shot 2, 3, 4 Zoom meeting, but earlier on I sent my presentation to Mrs. Didolu Adekogbe, who will share with the audience as time after this time out. Honestly, we need government intervention urgently. We can't do it alone. I love that speaker. We can't do it alone. If you think you can do it alone, the evidence is about that. For what happened last week, many private schools have spent fortune. Honestly, I pity them. I sympathize with them. If I empathize with them, that they must have spent fortune in preparation for the reopening of school. Suddenly, one minister came on and said, you can't resume again. Of course, we all felt bad, because if they are not announced earlier that school will resume, nobody will have prepared. But government has the final say, and nobody can question that. If you question that, you are just wasting your time. And I want to advise teachers. Many may not like this. Many schools now may not like this. I want to advise teachers that because of this pandemic, especially those in the private school, you cannot not sell. You cannot not sell. Take note of that. You must find something selling. After closing by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, you must not waste your time writing lesson note alone. You must say something. I pity the family of private school teachers. For the past 4 months, they have not collected 10 kobo. Whereas public schools collect, either they, including me that is talking, I collect salary, honestly speaking, though I work online, but private schools have not been collecting money. So they should embrace I cannot not sell syndrome. They must be selling something in case of incasity, and they must invest so much on themselves so that they can become consultant, they can become mentor, they can become coach. It is high time teachers live on that salary alone, because teacher preparation mode, like I've explained, is not enough to take teachers to the next level. You can't take them to the Eldorado. I am afraid the process and the protocol of reviewing a curriculum is so cumbersome. I wonder if in the next 2 years they are going to review curriculum to embrace all these our suggestions. But I will have to I have to appeal to the organizer of this program that please collate the communique and send to the appropriate quarters. Who knows? Like, I'm going to tell the college where I work. Fortunately, I'm the head of the department. Immediately, I've been telling them that we need to generate course or courses at 0 unit. 0 unit means it won't carry so much mark, it won't carry so much weight, but it's going to be compulsory for the pre-service teacher on how to use all these platform. Yes, apart from Zoom, apart from Facebook, let them be encouraged. Let's bring in even course content on even these viruses, so that that it is not included in the current curriculum, but it can be included. I want to pardon my being my fastness. As anyone like that, I have to attend to other issues, and because I am passionate, I love any opportunity in my life where education as it affects teaching or teacher is taking place. I remain a teacher and I will die a teacher and I will be buried a teacher. I can't do any other job, honestly speaking. It is too late for me. So anywhere, any opportunity, I have to impart, I have to share my knowledge. I don't hesitate no matter how busy. Mrs. Didolu Adekogbe, I want to salute your courage. Please continue doing this as you join us on the 23rd of this month, where Commissioner of Education of 2 or 3 states will be attending a forum that my association organizes. Please, everybody, you are free. It's going to be on WhatsApp, and we are going to question them. What plan do they have for us for reopening of schools? I want to thank you very much for this wonderful output. Thank you very much. While I wait for questions.
Wow, this is awesome. Well done, sir. We appreciate your time. You know, it's a busy time. We sincerely appreciate you and we thank you for what you have done. The material is with me. I will just want us to take the last speaker's paper. The last speaker couldn't make it because she's been navigating between three classes, you know, and then now, incidentally, she's in a class now. So, but she has sent her thought, and that will be taken care of by one of the moderators. So I am talking about no other person than Dr. Modupe Adefeso Olateju. Dr. Modupe Adefeso Olateju. She is the CEO and the managing director of the Education Partnership Center. It is called TEP Center. She's been a member of a lot of reform groups and been doing a lot of great works. She is into partnership, working with government, both federal and at the state level. She's an expert in policy on pupils and private partnership. She runs a consultancy that works across all board, both private and public. And as an education policy specialist, she served as a member of the Federal Minister of Education's Technical Task Team in Nigeria, where she contributed to the development of the 4-year strategic plan for the development of the education sector. And she's also done a lot of research. I remember, one time that I got a close contact with her, it was on CPE, and there was a discussion, heated discussion about are teachers qualified or not. And she gave a data that the social number that about 70 to 80% of teachers in the public school are not qualified. I was like, what do you mean? What? I was, how does that supposed to be? And much later, I was opportune to work with an NGO in the public sector, and I found out that of a truth, we have a large number of personnel in that sector who are teaching but are not qualified. So, and that also gave me a mind-blowing thought, and I'm like, how are we going to get over all of this? There are no teachers, there are a lot of children. What is going to happen? These children also deserve to be educated. What are we going to do about it? Thank God for a lot of NGOs coming up. Bumi Adeda Foundation is one foundation that is also doing greatly work with them. And thank God for what Slum to School is doing. And what Lanre and a lot of other people are doing. A lot of people are into reading and the rest. It's a great work. We just need to keep doing something. We have to keep doing something. We cannot leave the Nigerian child all by him or herself, because leaving them behind is a lot of danger. So at this time, I call on Mrs. Funsho Chikeze to do the read the presentation of Dr. Modupe Adefeso Lateju, popularly called Mo, Dr. Mo. Mrs. Chikeze, are you on? Mrs. Chikeze.
Hello, yes, I am on. I'm about to put on my video so that everyone can see me.
Okay, yes, we need to see your face. And what that is getting, what she's getting ready, please, what all our facilitators will also be ready. After this time out, it will be questions. We do.
All right, so hello everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, I've been in and out because of our Nigerian network issues. So Dr. Mo's session presentation is quite a short one, and so I'm just going to read it out, and then I guess we can include it in our discussions as we go on with the question and answer session. So her session is titled "The Role of Government for Direction in Crisis," and I believe that having heard Mrs. Adekogbe's brief on her bio and the work she's done, Dr. Mo has done with the federal government, I'm sure you will agree that she's in a good position to speak on this. So it's the role of government for direction in crisis. And also earlier, Dr. Chief Odubela in his session also talked about collaborations, and he mentioned that one of the groups, or not even one, probably the most important, set of people that we need to collaborate with is the government. And like Mr. Fowe also just said, that we cannot move forward, with anything that we're doing in this sector, and probably even in any other sector in Nigeria, without government support and collaboration. So Dr. Mo's session is on the role of government for direction in this crisis or in any crisis. And she goes, and so I'm quoting her right now. She says, "My thoughts on the role of government are that the institution of government provides policies, laws, and compliance frameworks, aka regulation. Government is the provider of last resort and the entity that should ensure that children have their fundamental rights to education provided. In a democracy, however, we all have responsibility for ensuring that no child is precluded from quality education. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights asserts that education is both a public and private concern. So it's a partnership there. In as much as we say we depend on government, for the policy aspects, as she's talking about, government problem is too large, to deal with. So government, just as the private sector needs government also is dependent on us, the private sector. So that is what Dr. Mo is saying here, that the responsibility of ensuring that no child is left behind in securing quality education, particularly in this crisis period where so many children are being left behind. Like Mr. Yusuf said, that 6 out of 10 children have not been learning in the last 3 months. What is going to happen to that period of their lives? How are we going to recover that lost time by the time they get back to the classroom, And she ends her submission by saying the Universal Declaration of Human Rights asserts that education is a public and private concern. Thus, the entire ecosystem must lend its voice and agency to ensuring effective policy design, implementation, and review. So, like she's rightly said, it's an entire ecosystem, and part of the essence of meetings like this is to bring that ecosystem together. Teachers, private school owners, government officials, people, consultants like us, like Mrs. Adekogbe and I, and others, people working in the philanthropy, in the NGO sector, people in the tertiary education institution, like Mr. Fowowe. So it's a whole ecosystem, and all hands. I think the long and short of what Dr. Mo is saying here is that all hands need to be on deck right now. And I think that's a no-brainer. When there's a crisis, is a time that everybody just needs to drop their hearts into the circle, bring what they have to offer, for the sake of our Nigerian children, for the sake of the Nigerian child, so that they are not left behind. So that's Dr. Mo's submission. Ma'am, I think we can take it from there. Mrs. Adekobe. Hello, ma'am.
Thank you, Mrs. Chikeze. God bless you. Well done. Yes. Yes. Hello, Mr. Forwester. We are getting ready. So thank God for that submission of Dr. Mo. Now we now enter into the question and answer session. I think everybody is in. Mr. We'll be waiting for Mr. Eyitayo will be joining us too, because he will also be joining another group in a short time. Everybody is so busy. I have some other things to. We all have so many things to do, and I know that we just dedicated time here. Yeah, so thank God for what you are doing. So now, hello, sir. Mr. Fowe, we are hearing you here. Okay. All right. So now we go to the questions. Mr. Yusuf. Mr. Yusuf. You have sent the school owners spent what they had when they had the announcement that schools will resume, and suddenly a counter message entered that no longer resuming. So I mean, government should take information seriously. Government should take information seriously, especially in crisis. Any misinformed material can lead to loss of life. Because a lot of people's mind has been set on that, and suddenly you just come and you are like, where are they going to recoup whatever they have spent? So we really need to, our government really need to take us seriously. They really need to take this sector. I don't know, I know other sectors need them, but I think education sector is a critical one that they cannot just overlook to just do anything. There must be synergy, there must be collaboration within and among the people that are in the ministry. Nobody should just come out and talk without discussing. You can't come and make a public statement without discussing with everyone that is involved, and then in the next minute some other things are coming up. This is not a good enough for us. It's not good enough for the sector, and it's something that our government, our policymakers should really take into cognizance. They should, in everything that you have done. If I heard the Minister for State for Education said, yeah, they will be initially, before the minister Adamu spoke, that the children can, then the children they will resume, and the children who are ready to write exam should write exam. I was like, what do you mean? Children who are ready to write exam? Children were sent to school. They have spent 6 years, less than 3 months preparing for an exam, and you're telling me that because some people are not ready for exam. That's not a good sentence for a leader like that. You should look at yourself. If you have difficulties in providing the enabling environment for the examination to occur, not because the children are not ready. I'm not saying some of them are ready. Yes, some of them have issues with getting ready, but I tell you, a large number of them are also prepared because they have taken ownership of their learning, and they know exactly what is involved in the education that they need for their life. And like somebody, I think Mr. Itayo,
Yes,
this
please.
destruction of the almighty WAEC, it was one of the things I said, I think early in the week when I was trying to say, and somebody was saying they need to go back. This WAEC is, I said, is WAEC the only thing that can determine the future of these children? Must they write this exam? This is a
Exactly.
question, and a question requires a novel answer, a novel response. If it has happened, they can't write the exam. What are the things they have been doing for 5 years? SS1, SS2, GS1, 2, 3. Let's even leave GS and concentrate on SS1, 2, SS1 and 2, first time and second time. Can we not cumulate the CA? Can't the CAs be enough to set these children ready for higher institution? We cannot mortgage their destiny because yes, carry up. You know, a lot of things that they have been involved in. We can't mortgage their destiny because of lack of planning. Because of lack of, yes, it was something that happened. Nobody planned it. But even in the midst of this thing, some people say plan, some country planned, some sectors planned. Some private schools in this Nigeria went ahead and they were having their classes and they wrote exam. They will be graduating. You know, so I mean, we cannot just rubbish the whole of the effort of the children by, you know, an irresponsible statement or, you know, act that we should be held accountable for. So it's a critical one. So, Mr. Itayo, disruption of WAEC. Yes, let's hear, because we really need to disrupt it. Yes, sir, I'm ready. I'm following you.
I don't know why it feels like you're putting me. It sounds like I'm in trouble.
You are not in trouble. You are not in trouble. We are providing solutions.
You are safe, sir. You are safe, Prof.
Okay. I think I just use WAEC as an illustration. It's not only WAEC that needs disruption. I think all the regulatory institutions require disruption. And the reason is because there's a big deviance from this object clause of either the exam body or even the regulatory bodies. If you're a regulatory body, you need to understand regulatory body is gotten from the word regulate. And regulate means that it must be periodic, it must be seasonal. It can never be static. And that's the most, that's the most important part we need to understand. Routine has taken over sensibility in all these institutions. So it's almost like what we do every day, So one of the first things we need to understand is that for it to be sustainable enough, WAEC itself must be able to get to a place where they are not just coming with exams year in, year out. WAEC has to review its processes. They have to audit WAEC itself, audit in terms of you have issues around missing script, you have issues about no results. When people pay for certain things, they have to get, imagine you pay for school fees and somebody say missing seats. Is it possible? It's not possible. Somebody says missing class. Can a class be missing for something you've paid for? It's not a favor WAEC is doing. You understand? A standardized exam like that. Imagine Cambridge or whatever international exam is that they can't find your results. That everyone's job is going to go from the top person to the least person. So that's what we should be pushing for and that's what disruption really is all about. Not something violent, not something negative in terms of conversation, but it should be something that we all must be able to say that going forward, we need to make WAEC get to audit itself and make it process open. You understand? So, for example, I think we should double dare WAEC itself and say, whether there's pandemic or not, we don't want external exams of that nature for this period. We want to keep ourselves safe. And if we're going to do it, why can't it be objective? Why can't it be CBT? So that it doesn't have to, you time people, get them access, they can write it online in their remote locations, and then they get it sorted out. Why must it be that as a system or as a body, right, you cannot change and you cannot evolve? If WAEC can evolve, then the ministry also has to evolve, That's what it simply means. I think we need to look at it from all ends, not just one side. And if we do that, then we can witness the disruption, really.
Thank you for that. And somebody said, explain experience again in your presentation. That it got the other two. Hello, Mr. Itayo.
Yes.
Mr. Itayo, someone said you should explain
Yes.
experience again. Explain experience in your
I
presentation.
was talking about the factors of business, and I said business number one is an exchange, business is an engagement, and then we talked about the experience. The experience meaning that anything that you can deliver, people are looking for an experience. And so if a school is going to diversify through innovation, you need to begin to ask yourself, what experience are students looking for? What experience are parents looking for? And when you're able to zone into that, you move away from a general mode of business to a specific mode of business. You know, so imagine a school where the school basically is just empowering people, you know, based on their experience. So I love this school. In this school, we feel that we are nurturing champions and greatness. That experience is the selling point. And if it moves away from the physical point, we look at other means of what we can do in the now, short term and in the long term, that can create experience. That experience is what people will sign up to, not the name, not the color, not the logo, not the marketing, not the e-flyer or the handbills that you will do. So the experience begins to open the gateway of innovation, and innovation, of course, eventually consolidates in diversification.
Thank you. And for owners, I know you soon be leaving us. For owners who are now at this, we are here. What can they do? I mean, for them, for sustenance, you know, what can they do now? Do you have any idea of what owners can get doing now to be able to get out of this storm that we are in, because we don't even know when all of this will come to an end?
So for school owners, I think that one of the best things that we need to look at is, first and foremost, every school should understand that what is really being affected is not the entity called school. It is the part of the entity, which is the curricular process. So it's the curricular process that has been put on hold due to pandemic. So the coronavirus does not affect calendar, doesn't affect processes. It only affects people. So if the curricular side of school has been suspended, then I think the first thing schools should begin to move into is co-curricular and extracurricular side of things, because that does not necessarily come under the confines of what we call
government.
Yes, of the lockdown. You understand? So basically, that's the first thing. And let me tell you the honest truth. The relevant thing that people are looking for in the world, across all age, I repeat, across all age, is the co-curricular and the extracurricular. You find out that anyone who shows mastery and competence at the co-curricular and the extracurricular side of things can still get to be relevant regardless of their age range. Do you understand? Can still get to earn and be empowered regardless of their age range. We're talking about the pandemic, but do you know import and export is still taking place? Do you understand? So, and import and export is not talking about maths and English, but the principle of maths and English is also affected by that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to, yes. Are you still on? Okay. Hello. Yes.
Hello.
I can hear you, and I'm sure we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, I'm hearing your hello. Yes.
Yes. So I hope you were able to hear what I said.
You are on, sir.
Yes.
You are on, sir.
Okay. So I have to beg to leave right now. I actually have a commitment that is ongoing at the moment.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We appreciate
Thank you for having me. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's appreciate Mr. Itayo.
Thank you so much,
leaving us to
Mr.
join.
Rotimi.
You need to be in
Professor
another
Rotimi,
meeting.
God bless you.
Prof, thank you. All right, great, good. And we still have in the house. Is Chief around? Chief Otubela. We'll still wait for him to join us. Mr. Joel, somebody said, Larry, are you still there? Somebody said, if WAEC must take place in other countries, how do we intend to handle Nigeria students who want to study abroad next year? Mr. Laniyo.
Okay. If WAEC was to take place in other countries,
yes,
how do we handle students
the
to
students
participate?
who tend to study outside.
Right?
Yes.
Anyway,
Did you get that?
the nomenclature, why probably it will be another name. Definitely, like Mr. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. So, the like Mr. Rotimi said, WAEC is West African bound, and if it has to be an examination to be taken abroad, definitely the processes that are involved in preparing for those examinations will change. Taking for example, IGCSE and this other foreign exams, you know, when this lockdown came up,
I think we're experiencing network issue with
regulatory
Mr.
bodies, exam bodies have come up with procedures along. And are you with me, please?
Yes, but it's just it's fluctuating, but I can hear you, and I'm sure we can all hear you.
So, like I said, IGCSE, taking IGCSE for examples, and other British exams, you know, when the pandemic started, they've been able to carry everybody along, especially schools who have registered for such exams. And it was very easy for them to maneuver this situation. So students will not be able to write the exams, but they made use of the cumulative assessment that a mark to promote them to the following class. So just like what you said earlier on, so it is very, very possible for WAEC to also adopt such methods, because they ask schools, I'm an administrator, they usually ask schools to supply first term and second term scores, continuous assessment scores for SS1 and SS2. Now, those data, what are they used for at this period of time? It is something that we can tap into and give credit to who credit is due among the students that are preparing for these exams. Or otherwise, come up with a project that any student can carry out and submit online, probably, just to bring out the relevance of whatever has been taught over these years. So it's still very much possible. I don't see WAEC being a limitation. I don't see exam being a limitation in this pandemic. We just have to think inside the box, not even outside the box. Let's think inside the box. There are a lot of opportunities and avenues we can leverage on for parents at this point in time, seeing their children being on hold for so a long time without learning. You know, a lot of topics have been discussed today, and I think it still boils down on the relevance of education in our sphere. And I think WAEC needs to look into that for the betterment of our results for our students.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olaniyo. Chief Otubela, you're welcome, sir. Are you here with us, sir?
You're welcome, man.
Yes, I'm here, man.
All right, thank you, sir. I have this question for you, sir. Somebody said, how can we connect with investors? Odubanjo Olubumi said, how can we connect with it? When you were talking, you said there are investors who are willing and ready to want to work with schools or with private individuals. Someone asked, how can we connect with investors? Is there a process? Is there something that is there somewhere to register? Is there a process? How do you get them? Where are they? How do one harness such people? Yes, sir.
Yes, there are financial experts who are into connecting financial seekers to foreign investors. These financial experts, some of them are based in Nigeria, some are in abroad. Some of them are former banks MD, and they have experience in how to connect any
people,
business that needs
investors,
money. I have few of them at hand. The participant can connect with Florish-Gate. Then through Florish-Gate, I can release their contact to anyone that wishes to get in touch with them.
Thank you so much. I will appreciate this. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. So that person, Dubanjo Lubumi, you know, you need to know. But sir, hello, sir.
I'm with you, man.
Hello. Yes, sir. Is there do you have an idea of expectations? You know, because when they are coming in, the investors, that so that you don't just feel that, oh, somebody say, oh, you can get investors, and you just want to, what are things that you need to put in place so that when that time really comes, you don't look like you just sought for something that you cannot even enjoy? Are there things that business owners need to start doing? Is there a process? Is there a guideline, you know, to be able to assess that?
Yes, there are guidelines. There are some documentations that you must have. For instance, they want to know the history of the school for a minimum of 3 years. And what document will you show for this? They want to have your financial reports, your financial analysis for 3 years. They also want you to show your cash flow for 3 years past, cash flow for 2 years ahead. So about 5 years cash flow, you need to prepare that. They also want to see those who are on board of the school, who are the managers, who are the principal, the HODs, what are their qualifications, what are their antecedents, to know if they invest money in such school, do those people have the capacity to run a school with such fund? And they also want to know which of the investments are you looking at. Are you looking at getting funds that you use to run by yourself, or you are expecting both fund and expertise? Some investors will be comfortable to release their fund if they have their expertise involved in day-to-day running of the school. And some are ready to give it to you if you can show cost that you have the expertise beyond individual now. You as a owner might have the expertise, but they want to know those who are the managers on board that are running the school along with you, so that in case of any eventuality, those other people have the same expertise to take a charge of the school. And some also will be looking at your ownership. You must be able to have be the owner of the property. No investors want to invest in rented apartments or a property that is not owned by the real owner of the school. And either there are some of these people, the consultants, that will talk to you without asking any cover from you. In our association, National Association of Operators of Private Schools, we have a forum for school owners where you can talk to consultants at no cost. At times, what you need to access such fund, you may not have it now, but because you have the information, which is SPA, you can begin to put this information together, put the materials together over some time, so that you can prepare yourself to be able to access such thing. Thank you.
So that was awesome. Thank you for this privileged, information. We appreciate you for giving us this. Also, there is a question here that talks about curriculum.
Mr. Adekwagbe.
Yes.
Mrs. Chikeze will want to also add some comments on this particular issue.
All right. Mrs. Chikeze, you are on.
I think, hello everyone. I think Chief Otubela has practically said everything I wanted to say, which is that anyone looking for investors in a business must be ready to put structures in place. Basically, everything that he has said and maybe a bit more, and it's great to hear that NAPS already has a forum, where they have business development consultants. Because actually, SMIDAN, BOI, apart from investors, investment funds, general funding, there's actually a lot of funds that is going around, even from the government right now, to support businesses. Some of them are even particular about female-owned businesses, who are the kind of people that are majorly in education anyway, and all that. But structure. So, like Mr. Eyitayo said, this pandemic might be the best thing that has happened to some people's businesses, in that it's a good time to go back and look at your business model and restructure your business. If other people are going to invest in your company, then you cannot do it shoddily anymore. It cannot be me, myself, and I anymore. It cannot be all the money is in my purse or in my personal bank account anymore. Investors, nobody wants to throw their money away. Investors want to see structure. So, like we said today, and like I think Mr. Itayo said a lot on during his session, we're innovating, we're looking at what should change, but it shouldn't be only in terms of teaching and learning in the classroom. In terms of the business itself, your business model, how you are operating that business. Because when the lockdown will be lifted, sooner or later, it can't go on forever. Will you go back to running your business anyhow? That's not the way you're going to attract investors, and that's not the way the business will grow. And the issues you are contending with now are even more than before the pandemic. So everybody had better get their acts together. When you have structures in place, it is investors that will be looking for you. The banks that everybody says they don't want to lend anybody money, if you have the structures in place, the banks will be the ones begging you to come and take their money. So it's a great time. This pandemic is a great time, for all school owners to go back and look at the business side of their schools and not just the teaching and learning. We're also eager to get back into the classroom. But beyond that, this is a good time to go back to the foundations, the processes, the structures, your business model and all. And anyone that wants to know more about this as well, in terms of sitting down to discuss your business model, I happen to have an MBA and have recently been trained by SMIDAN, to help businesses in other sectors, not even education, put their structures together to access these funds. So I'm also available. I'm not charging anything for this consultation as well. Free of charge to consult, to look at any business that really wants to look at, going over their business model all over again, putting structures in place. Even Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is also looking at doing that with some of us business development consultants as well. That's those of us that are doing business development, not just education. So, but for anyone else that you want to look at your business model all over again, go back to the drawing board, put these structures in place to be attractive to investors and funding. You can also hook up with me somehow through Mrs. Adekogbe. Thank you.
That is awesome. Thank you. Fantastic one there. Well done. Sir, Chief, before you go, sir, somebody asked, hello, Chief Otubela.
I'm with you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Somebody asked, can you please give the title of the Lawrence book you referenced in your lecture? While you were delivering, you mentioned a book. Someone says you need the reference.
Lost him.
Okay, Lost him. Yes.
Not Lawrence.
Okay,
not
Lost him.
Lost him. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Lost him. Okay. Yeah,
yes, I will text the title to you.
All right, sir. Okay.
I will text it to you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Shortly.
All right. Yes. And Mr. Olaniyan, there is this question said school owners should release their teachers on time for other beneficial activity. I think Mr. Fowowe said something about that. Mr. Fowowe, can you answer that? Mr. Fowowe.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Somebody said, you heard the question. School owners should release their teachers on time for other beneficial personal activities. So because, yes, You know, you talked about teachers should think outside just teaching, that you get involved in some other thing. And somebody said school owner. So what counsel do you have in that regard?
It is crystal clear that teachers should think outside the box. If I should break the box now and think outside to make extra money, you cannot not sell now. I have told you now, many teachers will not even resume when school resume. I must tell you, you can begin to take the statistics. Many teachers will not resume. School owners in the house, take note of that. Why? Many have started practicing selling in the street and realize that they are now making more money than the
salary they are getting.
Than the ridiculous amount of money.
Your line is breaking. Your line is breaking. Chief Otubela, can you contribute to that, sir? School owners, you release teachers to have time for side hustle.
What will you tell your agent parent if you are the breadwinner? Will you tell them because of pandemic they won't go to school of your choice? They won't wear the clothes of their choice? You won't even pay your tithe or your offering in the church because pandemic is responsible for the closure of the school. Teachers, my first daughter is a teacher, to the glory of God. She has learned how to do other things. I'm afraid if she's going to resume back in the private school. So please think out. If I break the box and begin to think. That's the truth, and it's a bitter truth. Without any apology to school owners, teachers must think, because I am afraid many teachers could not even fend for their children for the past 4 months. And I don't blame the school owners because they don't have enough money. Parents are not paying. Fine. But it is sad. It is sad. It is sad. What will you tell your children? You will tell your children because you're a private school teacher, you can't be responsible. So I am not saying teachers should not go back to their school. Let them go back. But for whatever reason, let them close by 3. Let them close by 3, if possible 2 o'clock, so that they can do other things. It is the teacher that's suffering the worst. I am a teacher of teachers. I will die a teacher, and my first daughter is a teacher. So I have learned big lesson, and she has learned big lesson. Me, I am collecting salary because a government lecturer, but she is not collecting. So we have to establish her, and she's now making more money than ordinarily she will be making when she go back to class. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was brilliant.
Hello, I need to contribute here.
Yes, Chief, are you here, sir?
Yes. Any question for me?
Yes, I want you to contribute to that statement that school owners should release their teachers when school resume early enough for them to be able to do side hustle. What's your take?
Well, it depends on the private schools and business model that the school is running. There's no one cap fit all to that statement. It can't go around schools. Just as we tell you that there are some schools in this country that are private school that still pay their teachers' salary fully. It may surprise us to hear that some private schools still pay full teacher's salary. Even me, as a school owner, the day this information was related to me, and I have to put a call through to the school, I was surprised that that can exist. And as a school owner too, in Lagoon schools, this is verifiable, even if you can't verify third party. In Lagoon schools, we pay our teachers 50% up to date. They still get their 50% up to date. Lagoon schools is in Yanapaja, in Lagos State here. And We have our website, lagos.com, so you can make inquiry. Teachers and presence are there. So, and we also have so many schools around the around Nigeria here that still pay their teachers up to 50%. I must say that. The business model some of us run, the business model some of us run has gone beyond a one-man business. And for a business to be sustainable, there is something we call reserve fund. Reserve fund is used to take care of challenges, unexpected issues of this nature. So if you have been running school for years, you will know that no matter how the profit is or how the loss is, there must be a percentage of the profits that must go for reserve. We have had issues where we need to make policy and population of school drop. And as at that time, the population of school cannot take care of the expenditure. So we have to fall back to our reserve. I mentioned that the PTA is a good collaborator when it comes to school growth. I am confirming to you again that in Lagos schools, for the first month of April, the month of May, it is the PTA accounts that pay the 50% of the teacher salary. For the month of April and May. Before we start,
question and answer.
Are you getting that? So there are some things that happen, but I must say, I use the word. One of my presenters also said that we should refer to them as low cost. There is actually a difference between low cost and those mushroom schools. Low cost schools are schools who has future, but are structured to charge less. But there is a structure in the school system. These mushroom schools are schools who don't have future for the school itself, let alone a sustainability plan. Some of the operators of these mushroom schools, some of them are not even qualified to be a teacher, let alone to become a proprietor. So you may find some of them falling in this line of not being able to pay their teachers. I am not saying that all schools who are not paying teachers are not qualified to be a proprietor. I have not said that. I'm only trying to say out of them, there are instances where some schools need not to exist ab initio. Then I'm happy to announce to all of us here that National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools had engaged Federal Republic of Nigeria to take over the salary of teachers in private school during the month of lockdown. And about 3 weeks ago, the Federal Executive Council had approved the NAP's request. In another words, we have approval that government will pay the salary of teachers in private school for those periods that the schools were shut. We have approval that government will grant single-digit loan to schools to cushion the effects of the pandemic in their cash flow. And there are other 2 approvals on that list. So members of our associations who are active, of course, are beginning to put their papers together to access this fund. It might take a little while, but there is provision to take care of Nigerian private school teachers via Federal Government of Nigeria as I speak with you. It's all around in the news. It is not hidden, but it has been approved for members of our association. Thank you.
Wow. This is good news. This is good news.
I must add quickly, yes, ma'am. The book you asked for, the book is The Logic of Collaboration in Education. The Logic of Collaboration in Education and Human Services. The The Logic of Collaboration in Education and Human Services by H.A. Lawson.
Okay.
H.A. Lawson, 2014.
Right. Okay.
Thank
you for this great information, sir. This is really, really great.
Hello?
And a lot of schools are also writing. You can write if you're a school owner here. What you are doing in your school is also important for us to celebrate you. A school wrote here that we still pay our teachers 60% of their salary, and other junior staffs are on 15% salary up to now. That's awesome. That is really, really awesome. Hello, yes.
Sorry,
Hello?
sir, Mr. Prophet, before you come in, so that there won't be.
Okay.
There's also another school that posted earlier, Mrs. Ali in Chapelville, that she has been paying 100% salary since the lockdown till now.
Oh, wow.
So that's as well. Well done, Chapelville.
Well done, Chapelville. Let's look through all the comments and appreciate, everybody who is doing so well. We need to commend you. Yes, sir. You want to say something, sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir. So,
hello?
I can hear you.
Yes. I am a researcher, an academic by excellence. I deal with statistics. I want to commission your movement or your organization of Florish-Gate. Let's do a statistics of, in Lagos, for example, the schools who are eyebrow school or standard school, as you call it, that are paying 50%, that are paying 60%, and are paying 100%. Prosperity needs that statistics.
That's it. That's true.
Prosperity needs that statistics. I beg you, free of charge, I can be involved. Your Florish-Gate or your movement can be commissioned to do this. We generate some questions and we administer and we get the statistics and the data. Prosperity needs that statistics. It is very easy to say Florish-Gate nursery and primary school pays 50%. It is equally said to say BPS pay 60%. This is Nigeria. If federal government is not even sincere, let alone state or local government, they talk less of the private individuals. I am a researcher and I repeat, let us administer questionnaire. We can do it within 3-4 weeks in Lagos. Let's get the statistics. I am not moved by mere statistics. I am not moved by mere statement. Shogola Nursery and Primary School pays 50. Shola Akinde Primary School. No. I am a researcher. I don't believe in that. So we can be commissioned to do that, Mrs. Dideolu.
All right.
That's
an offshoot from here. So I know one or two, like I also want to confirm what you're saying. I know 1 or 2, 3 schools who are doing that, but it will be good for us to also do a research so that we have data, to support when next we talk about issues like this, we can say so number and even name schools. This will be great. And then for closure of school, I also want to make it clear here, which we also know, that when school resume, it will not be like it used to be. It wouldn't be like resuming 8 and closing 3 or closing 5. The children may not spend more than 4-5 hours in school at a go. So by that time, of course, teachers wouldn't have to stay long. But what will also keep teachers on is the fact that they need to prepare their learning, their content. They need to prepare their lesson. And this is a good time for smart teachers to start developing content. You have the class you take, you have the curriculum, you have the scheme of work. Start developing content that will go online. And I also challenge teachers. Subject teachers, year teachers, grade teachers, come together as a group, form a group, and come together and begin to put material together, because there is no point saying Adekogbe have material for grade 1, Mrs. Chikeze have for. No, if we are all grade 1 teachers, let all grade 1 teachers come together and come with a content, and that content can go. It's also open to review every time, but we can put that together. So I challenge teachers here, I challenge the owners here, challenge your teachers Let them begin to do something now. As they do what they are doing now, let them do it so seriously, and then something great will come out of it. It's really been a great time here. I'm not sure. Is there any question that we have not? Somebody talked about Nigerian curriculum not needing review. Yes. Can somebody make a comment on that? I think let me see.
I was the one that said it.
Okay, all right. Okay, yes, sir. Somebody said, somebody made a comment in the comment column here that the Nigerian curriculum needs review, needs to go to
needs no review.
Needs review, need to be reviewed.
And that was what I said during my presentation.
Now somebody okay, I say the national curriculum needs to be reviewed to pave way for the 21st century learner. The current curriculum is not okay. That was your statement. Okay.
I said that the curriculum also needs to be reviewed.
All right,
madam.
So yes.
I said.
Okay. The curriculum needs to be reviewed. Yes, I can hear you, sir.
To accommodate emergencies.
Emergencies. Okay. To give. Okay, that was when you were talking about 0 credit courses. To accommodate.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So same thing happens even in our early years in our primary and secondary school curriculum. We can begin to do some infusion, add some things to make it real. Let it be real, as in something that is practicable, something that prepares the children for the workforce. It's not just for them to go to school and be able to apply that content. Nigerian children should not be reciting the SDG goals, this SDG. They should not be reciting one to whatever is it. They should be making use of it. And I was so excited when I saw I think there's this program on channels in the night, EdTech, something that had to do with technology. Some of our Nigerian children in the north, they designed a trash bin, walking stick. You understand? So I mean, we can do a lot of things. We can encourage our children. Mr. Lanion said earlier, doing project, allowing the children to do projects that they will be able to put together all that they have learned in numeracy, literacy, science, and together and come up with something that will solve problem of the society. It's been a great time having everybody here. We have had a really a great time here. I want to appreciate all our guest speakers. Chief Abayomi Otubela, sincerely we appreciate you. You have blessed us so much today. We are grateful. Mr. Simeon Fowowe, we can never thank you enough. You have done so well. Thank you so much. Mr. Prof. Rotimi Eyitayo, I know it's not, I know we get to hear this, because we watched the video. We appreciate you. Thank God for what you are doing and what God is using you to do in the space and in all that you do. We are grateful. Mr. Olanrewaju Yusuf, wow. I love that energy and I love what you are doing. This is good, and I encourage every one of us. I'm interested in what you are doing, and I'm ready to be a support to what you are doing. I want every one of us in our different corners to support, because we need to. You can't be everywhere, but some people can go. Some people can go, you can be, and if you can be available for class, to train, to teach, to help them do material, please, encourage them. And I also appreciate Dr. Adefeso Olateju, popularly called Mo, Dr. Mo, that she was not physically here. She desired to be here, but, a lot of webinars are going on and she's involved in a lot of them. We appreciate her sending her thoughts, for this program. I want to also appreciate my co-coordinators, the BBPC family. BBPC's family, God bless you. Mrs. Funcho Chikeze, the Lord bless you. Mrs. Chikeze has just put a book together, and then this book is already going to be launched, and it will come out very soon. exclusive story of
the exclusive guide to becoming a high-flying school is already out. So it came out yesterday.
Wow,
it's already
congratulations.
out. Yeah.
So that book is out. You need to get it. You need to get it. I also like to appreciate my brother, Mr. Joel Olaniyan. You are awesome. He's doing so well. He's so passionate and ready. He's a great collaborator, and we do almost everything, and a great administrator too. He's doing well. I also thank God for my life, and I thank God for my technical crew here. They are not around to show their faces. Thank God for all that God has helped us to do today. I also appreciate all the attendees, the participants, everyone who came here, those who entered earlier when we were still trying to wait for our facilitators, Dr. Fadayomi, Mrs. Fakorede, a lot, Mrs. Kayode, Abbas Morayo, Richard, Israel Olushola, the non-profit coach, Durodola Olujide, Anani, Israel, okay, I've mentioned Israel, Vivian, Chinwe, Stella, Fumi, Oladipo, Sheriff, a lot of people, Yemi Usani, oh, good to have you here, Eric Toyin, Odukoya Onome, a lot of people, Shakirat Adeniyi, it's so great to have you all here. Thank you so much. Uchechi Florence,
we're using
all these things are still available. Is recorded, so you can still access it even after now. And see, let's send the link out, and people can get it and still read it and learn a lot. A lot of materials, a lot of resources has been given here today, and this will help us to plan. I do not just want us to be those people who learn and do not know what to do with their learning. Learn and go back to the drawing board. Go and re-strategize. Start planning. All that you have here today, all that you have picked today, what are you doing? If you need any assistance in anywhere, give us a call. Send us a WhatsApp message. Let us leave comments on the YouTube page. Let loud it. Everybody is here. Listen, we are here to give ourselves support because a lot of things are happening. And if you don't support one another now, let it not get to the point that we begin to say we are sorry. May we not be sorry for ourselves. Thank you so much. And so let's Mr. Forward, are you here to give your parting word? Mr. Forward, parting word.
Hello, madam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Your parting word, sir. Okay, Mr. Forward, can you mute yourself and give us your parting word? Okay, if he's getting your parting word, are you ready? Chief Otubela, sir, your parting word, sir.
Yes, I want to appreciate Florish-Gate Consult here for putting up this together for all of us. As a panelist, I have been able to gather some perspective to issues beyond what I have before. It is an avenue also to share my own perspective about issues. And I want to say to all participants that it is a new normal here. Everything has become new. There is a new school in town. That is homeschooling. And there are new competitors also in town. Homeschooling are going to be competing with traditional schooling. And it is not until we see that competition before we know it has come to town. So we need to put our thinking cap on and begin to rejiggle our policy. All the policy papers we have in school are going to be dusted down to begin to have a new policy attached to them. It is a time when we begin to collaborate more. The use of technology has come to stay, and you cannot in this beyond pandemic era teach without applying technology. The content Ms. Fowowe spoke about is absolutely necessary here because there are a lot of video content that have been generated during this virtual learning period. Some of these will be useful during the school hours. I want all of us to start today because the best time to start is now. Thank you, everyone. So the panelists, I appreciate your contribution.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. So just before you go, the publisher, sir, and the kind of book they publish, it is important to also look into that. I think as an association, as a group, as we work together, the very terrible, terrible material released for children. I think it would be good that when they do, they should give it to the people who we use, and let it not just going backyards to get it approved and then make it compulsory and then come to look at the content, sir. So please, I want you to take that project. It's critical. Thank you, sir. Mr. Fowo, are you ready?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
My parting gift is that make the video go viral. Make the video package for today go viral. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. So let's begin to share. Yes, Mrs. Funshaw, your parting word.
We thank God for a great session, and we've all learned a lot today. Our theme has been education for relevance in the new normal. So we're just reiterating that times have changed, we're in a new season, and things will never be the same again. For those that are thinking, oh, let them just lift off them, let them just lift this lockdown, let's just get back to school and get back to the things, let things get back to normal. You need to just, know that things are not going to be normal again. The world has moved on. It's like when 9/11 happened in the US and everything changed as per how we live and how we travel. In the same way, businesses, life as we know it on earth will never be the same again after this incident of this global coronavirus. So we just need to, we are the ones that need to change. And I keep going back to Mr. Eyitayo's session that innovation is not optional. So that's what I want everyone to take away. You cannot remain as you were before this lockdown. You are going to be pushed out of the market, either in terms of your teaching and learning in the classroom, and also in terms of your business, the business model of how you were running your school before. You need, like Chief Tubela said, you need to get back to the drawing board. So, in fact, for me, every little extra time that you have, that government is postponing resumption, is more time for you to dust your plans and your strategies and your policies all over again, because you cannot have any excuse when this lockdown is lifted. You can't blame it on coronavirus. You had better come out stronger and better, both in the classroom and the way you run your school business. Parents will be waiting to see a bigger and better you. Otherwise, like Chief Otubela said, those that are going to push you out of the market, they're already here. Homeschooling is going on. So many issues. This is the time, like somebody says, that business is a thinking job. So this is the time to put on your thinking cap, not just as an educator, not just in terms of the classroom, but as the business as a whole, your whole school business as a whole. What needs to change? What needs to be restructured? What needs to be thrown out totally and disrupted? So those are my parting words. Thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sister. Well done. Thank you, sis. Mr. Olaniyan.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, very well. I can hear you very well.
It's been an awesome session. I remember when Ms. Adekogbe came up with this thought, especially this topic. It is so much on point. It is so much relevant to our time. So I would like to say as parting words that from time immemorial, human being has been evolving, has been a creative being, when you look at the times of Homo sapiens and the rest of them, until our age now, not minding all the falsification in human development anyway. But what I want to bring out of it is that we have it in us to evolve and to thrive. We have it in us. Coronavirus, COVID-19 is not a stumbling block. It is rather a stepping stone to greater achievements. Yes, it is very, very good that this period has come. For some establishments, it has exposed us, it has exposed our back, like when wind blows the fowl at the back. The fowl can do nothing about it. But we are human beings. We still have something to cover up. Even when the wind blows your back, you can still gather yourself up. And then, it is only someone who falls and refuses to stand up. That is the person that will remain on the ground forever. So with all that has happened, all the stakeholders, whether you are a school owner, whether you are an educator, whether you are a business person, whether you are in the government, this pandemic has affected everybody and every sector. So it is time for us to gather our pieces, go back to our drawing line and restructure something good. We see now that our living is dependent on each other. Because if one person refuses to put the right thing in place, it will affect the other person. There's nowhere you can run to now, whether you want to go to America or you want to go to anywhere. Pandemic is there waiting for you. So we are just must collaborate. We just must innovate together. We just must think out whether inside the box or break the box, like Mr. Fowe said, or go out of the box. Whichever way, we must just find a way out. And I tell you, the way out is just the next step that you just have to take with all the panelists and
Thank you. I think the network issue too. Thank you for everybody. I thank you. Mrs. Folusho Babashola, thank you so much. And, Stella Oluwabukola Ali, everyone has been so awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lenny, are you still talking? Okay. All right. I think network there. And for me, I once again say thank you. And I am also letting us know that it is important for us to keep planning, keep reviewing and updating your plan. There is no end to planning. You need to keep planning. Whatever you planned yesterday, by today is already obsolete, because every day there is new thing coming up. Information is spreading like wildfire. Take information and use it for what you are doing. We promise that fortnightly we'll be having a session like this. In the next 2 weeks, look out for us again for another very exciting time to discuss contemporary issue that affects our sector. We need to get our hearts together, and we do a lot of things. You can get to talk to us. We have programs that we run as individuals. Mr. Lani runs an administrative academy. I also run an administrative academy. So we do a lot of stuff, and we also are available to counsel and to help you out of whatever is it that we can help you with. So it's been a great time being here. Get back, ensure that this video goes viral, that people who were not able to come by whatever reason, network or so, can see it because it is live. Everyone can get to, and you can keep making comments, and we keep going there, and whatever questions come up, we'll be able to give you answers, and we trust that we will be better than the way we enter into this pandemic situation by the grace of God. Thank you all for making time to be here. We spent a lot of time here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Adekogbe. God bless you.
Amen.
Mrs. Chikeze.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Fowell. Thank you for staying
Mr. Fowell, thank you.
if you just click on the link that we sent, it will take you straight there. That link just take you straight to the live stream, and then you can view it over and over. Visit the Florish-Gate Global South.
We are finishing. We are already done.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
I think we should come up and
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Are you talking to me?
Okay. It's open.
I can hear you, ma'am. I said we need to end the session.
Yes, I'm trying to even. I want to see if we could. I was trying to do a picture of everybody together down this.
Everyone is left.
But I took one earlier.
Okay. All right, ma'am. All right.
Thanks. I think Mr. Okay. All right. Thank you.